Hello and welcome to Great First Pub. Tonight we'll be hosting a post Citizen Con 2954 talk and what the gameplay changes mean for PvP orgs. Just without further delay, I'd like to welcome our guest, River Grit of PAX. No, which
No,
org?
no,
No,
not
is
anymore.
it Venture?
I think he did
Avenger,
that by
Avenger
accident. I
Squadron,
don't think
right?
that was on
AVS?
purpose.
AVS? AVS, right? Is it
Yes.
AVS?
It is. It is
What is
ABS.
your org? Like what?
This is a mess.
Yep.
Yeah, what org?
Oh
What
my
org are
God.
we a part of, and why does it say G42 on mine?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know.
You sounded
Okay.
so uncomfortable.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was my derail. So, hello, guys. Welcome to Great First Pub. In 3 words or less, how would you summarize your initial impressions of CitizenCon in the last couple of days?
Uneventful
I don't know.
but satisfying.
I think it was a little underwhelming. I think it was a little underwhelming. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think like the last 3 years, like we were thinking we're gonna have, Pyro and Squadron 42.
Mm-hmm.
And then they come out and they're like, "Oh, here's 2 years later. Like it's gonna be 2 years until you get it." I don't know. I think it was a little underwhelming. I do, however, think the org mechanics are probably the best thing. Like, forget about any other systems. Like,
Yep.
give me Pyro at least. But like, honestly, that's all I care about. Like, the org mechanics was the most, I think, heavyweight part of that. The whole SICON. I like it.
Yeah. I was going to say I'm actually like underwhelming, informative, and actually infiltration or like base rating is going to be like my 3 words, just because I'm excited for getting into a lot of those like new mechanics that they actually have to offer with the social tabs actually being
Yeah.
integrated. That's super handy. So, with that being said, in the panel Social Universe, how do you guys think the newly implemented social resources built for communication facilitation and reputation will benefit PvP organizations?
What?
Yeah, that was
That
a
was a
little much.
mouthful.
That was a
Okay.
mouthful. Yeah.
So,
That
how
was a little
will
much.
so we've got the new orgs app, right? How is that going to help us with communication, org composition, like fleet composition, and like reputations within our orgs?
If I could jump on one thing that I noticed was the ready check. Thought might kind of be nice because it gives you a visual representation. Like, and I was just thinking about like the other day we were waiting by an Owen marker or something like that, or it was last night
Mm-hmm.
actually, and it was
Yep.
like, is everyone here? Is everyone ready? And it's like, or who's not here? Who's not ready? Well, if you have like the ready check, I don't know if you guys caught that part, but like you can send out the ready check and everybody in the party can either say they're ready or they're not, but also you see next to that party member's name where they're located. So that is going to be really good for getting like that visual reference of where people are. I think that's going to be really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the markers, like the colored markers, are gonna be huge, bro. Like,
Mhm.
and KOS list. Like, I thought CIG has been against like KOS lists like forever. Like, and then they brought it up at SitCon. Like, oh yeah, and then you can have these people on your kill on site list. Like, wait, what? Didn't like you guys say like in Spectrum or something that a kill on site list is like a
Against
no
general
no?
purpose. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah.
so what? That caught me off guard. I'm like, okay, but I think like the colored things are going to be great. Like the color nameplates for
Yeah.
either allies or um you know enemies and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think it was. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's going to be really cool. But yeah, the KOS list. I don't know why they would be against it. That's a good thing.
did
I mean,
anybody else catch
realistically,
that though? Because I didn't. I'm like, wait, I thought they were against KOS lists,
Mm-hmm.
and then all of a
Yep.
sudden they said it in
maybe it's not
SitCon.
griefing anymore. I don't know.
Yeah,
Right? Because
I
the
don't know.
KOS list is like a griefing thing, isn't it? From
I
my
wonder if it's
understanding.
added because like 1.0 is going to be a little bit more fleshed out. Systems will be in place, so we don't have to rely on, like discords
Yeah,
to, facilitate all of those, systems, right? That would make a lot of sense, I think, because it's actually like implemented into the game, and that reputation isn't necessarily really targeting someone's character or whatever. It's you're focusing just on that. I don't know. That's such a weird thing. Or maybe because it's the new leadership that we have. It feels like, is it Pryor
Yeah.
that's leading everything right now for the PU? I'm trying to remember names.
I'm not up on this, but I know like things have switched.
Yeah.
Obviously they've like in the last 2 years you saw a different direction.
Hmm.
Especially after 3.18, they've just been. I mean, even the design. I don't know. Wasn't John Crew like one of the guys
Right.
that like left
Yep.
and then everything kind of like went to shit
No,
or
no,
something?
no, no. You're thinking of oh my god, I can't think of names, but it is Rich Tyre. You're
Yeah,
thinking
something like
of
that.
Rich Tyre is the new director for the entire like PU like management. And
Gotcha.
honestly, it feels like we're actually seeing like a proper vision. Like it's feeling less like Star Citizen and more like Eve Online. We're seeing like resource management,
I'm cool with
things
it.
in play. It's exactly what we need. I don't care if it's like another game. There's a reason why it's successful in the first place. Bring it over.
I
Yeah.
want to jump on this comment real quick because it's Z's wife, so I really feel like we should give that attention. She said, "Saf here, Z's better half. Hold on. He is all PvP, but I have always been heals or support. So hearing more options for me to be able to contribute and enjoy how I want to play is pretty big to me. Yeah, it is cool. I mean, it's good. Okay, so just jumping on it though, it's like I feel like there was a lot of good information in sitcon, right? I'm not gonna
Yeah.
necessarily complain, but I feel like there wasn't any real I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. Like they didn't
Substance?
give any actual announcements. You know what I mean? Like there was like
I'm okay with that. I'd rather them not give us all these like fake hopes and promises.
yeah, good
Like
point.
oh, here's 3 new systems and all that. Oh, side note, like I don't know if you noticed, but like the Nyx system in Castra, like you kind of notice that it's like I don't know if it was just me, and I'm not in on the lore or whatever, but it seems like there's not gonna be many POIs like
No.
there. You know what I mean? Like it's
I
just
Mhm.
kind
think
of
the
like one,
so
and
here's the
there
cool
might be
thing
some
about
mission
that though.
places.
The POIs are going to be, I think, player bases and stuff, honestly. And
That's
like,
what I'm thinking, and I
yeah,
think it'll be
Mhm.
able to help them push it out faster, which I
and I,
hope. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
and I think that goes in line with what like Virgil was saying. Like, give us a system and just let us have at it, right? And I feel like Nyx will
Mhm.
definitely be,
Yeah.
or especially be that, right? So, if low secure, no security, right, and just like the POI is going to be us. Like, I think that'd be
Yeah,
really cool.
right on the border of like Vandal territory. So you're going to see that threat as well, kind of looming overhead whenever they implement aliens. So that's going to be interesting whenever that happens.
Yeah. We got off topic. What were we talking about though?
So we were talking
The
about like
direction and stuff, right?
the whole like direction. It feels like there's been like a sudden shift with everything, right? We went from this is what we have in our minds about what we're expected with PvP. And while, that's cool and all, base building and, even the end game that they proposed with the player space ports really changes and creates like a new purpose. I feel like the survivability of orgs is going to be completely different. It's going to be more dependent on like other players, other organizations for resources, and a little bit more cohesive as like an entire like environment. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
What else?
so
What else do we met? I'm sorry. You go.
no, go for it. Go for it. You
No,
had a
no, you
question.
go. No, no, after you.
No, you.
Um, what? I had some like notes down here. I'm trying to read them because and I'll just you want me to just spit off the notes that I took like specifically,
Yeah,
just
let's hear it.
makes it easy, right?
Mhm.
So, um, the notes that I took off, one was like, yo, the systems might be smaller, like Nyx. Well, they might be big, but like it doesn't seem like there's gonna be a lot of POIs, right? So maybe that'll make it so they get them pushed out faster, right?
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Secondly, let's see. Do you think? Okay, side note too. Do you think they're gonna sell the Stinger at IAE this year? Because they put that out hardcore in the preview.
Mhm. I don't think so. Not yet, at least. I think that'll be closer to like say when Squadron actually drops.
Like not even
Okay.
a concept. Like that's what I'm
I
thinking.
don't know.
Like
Yeah,
like
maybe a concept.
dude, if they put that out as a concept, do you know how many people would be scooping that up? They would make so much money.
If anything, they would save it for like an Alien Week, in the future when they need a
Yeah,
like a
that's a good
new
point.
fresh concept sale, right? It
Yeah, that's a
wouldn't
good
be
point.
IAE by any means.
Yeah,
At least that's my
yeah.
personal opinion. So here's actually a good question for you guys. I was wondering, how will org tools benefit um, player management and fleet composition? You were talking about. I want to get kind of into this because there was actually a couple of panels, and we were talking about like org markers. If we can push the media really quick, that'd be awesome. Let me see if I can find it. It was
That face we were on, that's great.
yeah. I'm trying to find it. This is the FOIP one. Give me a second. This is day
You know what? I'm gonna
one.
give River a
This is day
little
one.
swapperoo on this. Let's
By
see
the way,
here.
the former director was Todd Pappy. That's who it was. And after he changed, there was a shift
That's who
in
it
like
was.
the
Yeah.
direction of everything. It felt for a while there, but now it feels like we're kind of back on track. I'm trying to find the indicator that we had over the ship. I really like the idea of having some of these like systems in play. Give it a sec. Where was that? No. Okay.
All
Anyways,
right.
while I'm trying to like sort this out, just go ahead and chat about whatever you guys need to.
All right,
Could
I'm gonna.
we?
I'll chat about anything, bro. Because also all this, like, do you guys notice that
I'm
like
gonna try. Mhm.
all this economy stuff, right? Like they like today, right? I was looking at it and they're talking about building your own ships and like you're gonna need like crafting and all this other stuff, right? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, I'm
Mhm.
like, dude, if they have a game breaking bug, like we see like the dupe bug and
Hey,
stuff,
Thunder, like.
like it's going to be what?
Oh damn it! Why am I getting a crazy lag here?
Okay. So Thunder, like right now, we're kind of touching on
Come
like
on.
the social universe panel. Did you have any? I'm sorry to kind of interrupt that. I drug him in and didn't even like say anything about it. That was my
Oh, you're
bad,
good.
River. What was your thought? You had some like
No, my
mixed
thought
feelings
is
about
like,
that.
dude, if you have a game breaking bug, right? People are gonna just be like building Idrises and pumping them out like left and right, right?
Hmm.
Like you need for in order for any of this stuff to work with like the crafting and whatnot, like you have to have a working economy. You know,
Yeah,
does that make, that's like something we've never had yet. So
I know.
I
I know. It's crazy.
and I'm thinking like if there's one bug that breaks, like people are just gonna be like, exploiting it and taking advantage of the system, building like insane amounts of like bases because they found a glitch that like they can reproduce stuff like quickly. And
Yep.
I just was like, whoa, this is like we're really gonna have to have a working economy for this crafting shit to work, you know.
Hmm.
So that was a hot point I
Yeah,
mentioned.
it's really cool though. I mean, the idea of it. I like the fact that when they were talking about like being able to have the best items, like you need the players to create them.
Yeah,
Um, it's the whole thing with the economy excites me. Like that's what I'm looking forward to. But then the hopium kind of starts to fade, and I'm like, yeah, but when? Right? Is it going to be like
yeah.
years and years down the road? That's
I
my
don't know.
concern. You know.
Hmm.
I think the org mechanics and the sandworm. I think the sandworm was the most in-game thing that looks like we're getting like the soonest, like the fastest, right? Because like that was like all real stuff. Like it
It
looked
looked
like
like they're actually like
they
playing
were
it,
they
right?
were playing it, and then the org
Mhm.
mechanic stuff looked like it was almost all done. So that's exciting. Everything else was obviously just playthrough or previews, I guess you would say. But yeah, those two things look like they're halfway done. I don't know.
So I'm actually looking at a panel here. This is the representing one. This one had some really nice features that I actually look forward to. It has like announcements, events log, and this is actually more of a question for Thunder Lake. How do you think orgs are going to benefit from this kind of organization within the game? Hmm.
Yeah.
I forgot this, and they'll show up. They might come to the event. It's another
Oh,
indicator
yo,
to tell
real quick.
individuals to get online to show up,
It's
right?
I was going
fixed.
to say,
Sorry,
Oh, you
it's
fixed it.
fixed. Yeah.
can you kind of?
I
I'm
was trying
sorry.
to figure out what's
We have
going
some
on. Yeah,
audio
run
issues.
that
Could
back if
you
you could. Sorry
kind of
about that.
recap a little bit? Yeah, my bad, Thunder Lake.
Yeah, no worries, no worries. I still also can't hear River, so I'm gonna pop up the stream if I can hear him. So because
Oh,
I'm
River, did
listening
you
in
mute
Discord.
yourself in Discord? Don't mute yourself.
No, I didn't mute myself. I'm good.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway,
He can't
so
hear you.
Oh, you know
I
what?
can hear him once I turn on the stream.
You're gonna
But
push to talk,
No,
aren't
I
you?
got it. I got it. There we go. You should be able to hear me.
yep, I can. Perfect.
There we go. Much better.
Griefus
All right.
Pub, where professionalism
Yeah,
comes to
exactly.
die.
Well,
All right,
you
I'm
asked me
done.
the question if orgs would benefit from this, right?
Mhm.
And the answer is yes and no, right? So orgs will benefit from this because it adds a tool for organization and communication to your org members that are in game, and it allows them a constant reminder when they're in the org app to basically see, okay, when's the next event and whatever. Will people follow this, or will people show up more frequently than already the notifications in Discord? You know, who knows, right? It depends on your group. For the casual group that like has millions of members that never show up in the Discord, that might be beneficial for them. They might
I think it
show up
will.
to a,
I was thinking that. I think it would be. I think we're going to see a lot more groups with that tool, just because you have those like weird, players that are not really popping in on Discord, but like will do things with the group, and then like the org thing just makes it easier for them to, play together.
Agreed. Yeah, and it might make certain orgs a little bit more serious about who they have on their RSI site, because if you can just see every org's events because you're in their org, like
Ooh,
that's
that's a
also
good.
a big
I didn't think
security
about
issue.
that.
Yep.
I didn't even
Mhm.
think about that. Wow. GrieferNet is like going ham right now thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
I know. I'm thinking
Probably
about that.
seething
Right.
at the mouth.
So do you think that at some point we're going to see, with the same game like app being linked to everything that we're communicating with, do you think there's a chance that it's going to replace third party applications like Discord just overall, or do you think that's a little bit of a stretch?
Not a chance, but you
Yeah,
guys can talk about it. Yeah.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
I think it would be very
idea.
difficult for them
Yeah.
to ever replace something like that.
Mhm.
Third-party applications. It's just, it would be. I think it would be a pretty dumb idea to even try. Honestly, at this point, just let it be what it is. People are using what they use.
Yeah, pretty much. I do like that it actually allows you to kind of keep track of like alliances, rivalries, all that stuff. Because I feel like there's so many times where you can list all these names in like a Discord channel dedicated just for that, but seeing it visually, like having those visual like cues in like the actual Mobiglass is going to just be such a step in the like right direction. Because right now, I can't tell you how many times I like forget who we're like, sometimes like trying to hunt down, or, things get flooded out in like Discord chats and all that because, we're posting memes or whatever at that point, right? But you
Well,
have like the enemy orgs here and all this other stuff. I'm just looking at this. And then I really like how the colors kind of help us with that like visual representation of who's an enemy, who's a friendly. It just really does help, especially with like say Thunder, like say you're running an event and then all of a sudden, GrieferNet shows up to, completely bombard your, entire like well
Yeah.
organized,
So the thing is like, I don't get too excited.
Sorry.
I don't get too excited with these type of things
I'm ranting.
because the situation is like we should already have this right in game,
Damn.
and we're working with the party system like that's kind of buggy already. So like even just the last patch we are doing PvP parties and whatever, and you wouldn't allow to like join a party and see your party member's pip if you didn't join it in menu. Like in-game party systems weren't functional. So I'm not super excited for this system because I see there could be some faults with it. It's something that we should have in the game, and I'm excited if it's working good for us because it's a needed system. It's something that like will help groups organize and identify friend or foe much more quickly when it comes to engaging and stuff like that. It'll organize a group of people better.
but what you're saying basically is that it's hard to be excited for things that we probably should have to begin with. Is that?
Mhm.
Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean that's fair. That's fair. It's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. I kind of feel the same way. I've said that too. It feels like they're showing off things we're supposed to have and then being like, now be excited because we didn't do this yet and we're gonna do it. So You know, yeah, I agree. But at the
Features
same
that should
time,
have
it's
been in
like,
the game since like day one.
yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
like
let's
we
be
have
fair.
like a
We
basic party system. That's all we
Yeah,
got, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
you know,
exactly. But, let's be fair. We spent a lot of time getting excited about the server working. So it's
Yeah.
like
low
when we're
expectations. Yeah.
yeah, when we're
Well,
able to play the game, it's like, yeah, I'm able to play the game tonight. You know?
well, that's what I'm happy about. Like, I'm happy that SitCon wasn't just about a bunch of like hopium. It's like, oh, these are like actually features that we're working on that like we should have had a while ago that we actually need. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
not like trying to say that they're gonna have 3 new star systems out within the next year, or something like that. Like, I think that's like shows like a step in the right direction.
Yeah, no, totally.
Um,
I agree. Like that's
it's like
you
this
hit the
is
nail on the
important.
head there. Yep.
And then as far as new players go, like this will bring the new players into the disc. Like I think, yeah, discords are always going to be a thing, and they will be superior. But this will probably bring the new players into the game that are starting the game into discords. Like this will be, it's an easier way, instead of saying like, hey, like if you liked hanging out with us, like join this Discord, and you have to like post it in, I don't know, global
Yeah.
chat or something like that, and just yeah. So
There's less workarounds.
yes,
Like, so think about joining an org now. Like, you have to either know a group, have interacted with them either positively or negatively, or like search Spectrum or looked at the org page, which, on Spectrum and RSI website,
yeah,
not always perfect. But if you're in the game and you see this will bring a whole new level of, you know, who you're representing, what you're
yeah,
doing in the game. And
It,
like
it
you can look into it.
yeah, it makes it feel like it's actually part of the game. Like it feels
Mhm.
connected. Right. Like that was
Mhm.
one of the things that I struggle with because I came from Elite Dangerous to this was how disconnected the orgs felt from the actual game. Like it felt like it was like, yeah, I'm an org, but what it doesn't really mean anything in the game. It's just not there. So it does, I think it certainly does add to like the connection that it's needed realistically.
Yeah.
1000%.
I think my
So
PC is struggling with this.
I was going to say, which tools do you find yourself probably utilizing the most when, say, we have like, recruitment, representation, organization alignment, everything like the branding tools, logos, whatever. What do you think you're going to be using the most if you guys had to like pick a couple like right off the top of your head?
what tools?
What tools do you think would be like most useful in like an MMO perspective?
I mean, for me, I don't really care about getting new like the new player stuff. Like I just like I feel like I'm past that, right? Like we'll find people easy.
Mhm.
Um the most fun for me, I don't know why, but the most fun for me is just like the colored nameplates, like being able to, because that's gonna add a whole new element to the game of like actually being able to go to war with someone and like having it be like
Mhm.
semi-official. You're like, oh, that guy, I've
Yeah.
never heard his name
Yeah.
before, but he must be in
Yeah.
a org that we're fighting, you know.
Mhm.
That excited
So
me a lot too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hype on that. So
Yeah, I kind of like the I know that we don't really need it, but I kind of think it's cool to have like the calendar there too. It's like a reminder in game,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean
And
overall, yeah,
Yeah.
I mean it's just nice for it to actually exist in the game in general.
Mhm.
So the thing I wonder about, right, is right now as it stands, I think this is intended, but it's like you have to scan somebody, right, to be able to know who they are. So if you're like at war with another org, is it you have to scan them to even know if it's them? You know what I mean? Or is it going to be like that information's already being broadcast, like so they'll show up red even though you don't know necessarily
I
who
don't
they
think
are?
it's I don't think what we have in the current 2.2 is what is going to happen in the future. I think it's gonna be different.
Then is it just a
yeah,
mistake? I mean, why even have it there now? Like, what?
I don't know.
It's hard to
I'm
say,
not
right?
convinced that that's how it's gonna be. I'm just not. So
So I do have a feeling that the reason why we haven't seen party markers fixed and a few other some of the UI elements fixed is because those might be pushed sooner than later. Because typically that would be expedited a lot like faster because it is kind of a priority, Not being able to see like a party marker for like a teammate, it's very detrimental. I'm thinking yesterday, River, when I think it
mhm,
was you, DG, Shadow, you guys were all at like SPK.
mhm.
You couldn't tell friend from foe,
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
but
This is
that goes with
awful, dude.
a like a broken system. I mean, that's it's because right now like the party markers aren't
Mhm.
always working and stuff like that. You end up with that problem, but that's obviously not intended, right? How
Yeah.
crazy, but it's like in this situation where you can't even see names at all, like you can't have party markers not working. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
like it's pretty important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's a question for you guys. What are your thoughts on player personal like reputation and benefits with orgs the longer they stay as like a representative or even as a member? Like there's a really good example right here. It says 3% contract payouts, 3% reputation gain, unlocked at 75% alignment. And this is as an org, they're like pushing this together. How do you feel about those kind of
Is this
systems?
the where they were pretty much mentioning like how good of an org member you are, like how,
I think
and
It's
then
so.
guild.
you,
It's the guild
Yep.
system. So
yeah,
like
Guild system. That's it.
I'm
basically
not.
That's it.
there's a collection of NPC guilds that give you bonuses. And the more your org does contracts for them,
Hmm.
when individuals are in your org doing those contracts, they receive benefits. So,
Gotcha.
and each individual member will progress that loyalty toward that guild to
Hmm.
give you additional benefits, maybe different contracts and stuff. But by no means do you have to do the contracts for these guys. It's just you get benefits for that. So
Okay.
like
So
Gotcha.
so it's increased. So all right, so because there was like rep within the org, right? And you're, what do they call it? I forget what they called it, but it was within the org you're in. Like if you're running around, let's say you have, I remember them talking about this. Let's say you have three different orgs you're in, but you're running representing your main
mhm.
org, for example. Your
Hmm.
reputation within that org increases, and that will help what the benefit that you get through the org through the guild. Is that
Yeah, so basically,
Pretty much. Yeah.
like if you have three different orgs, and on here on the screen here, you got the Interstellar Transport Guild. If you're running like transport contracts or whatever, you're going to be contributing to that org alignment and gaining those benefits, getting tier one, tier two, tier three. But then all of a sudden, say you switch to a mercenary thing, you want to go do a bunker mission or whatever, and you have a PMC org that is aligned with a different guild, you may want to represent that PMC org so you can go into that bunker mission and get the extra payouts for that one.
okay? Yeah. Oh, I mean,
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like I'm like up in the air with this stuff because like for me, like I don't like PVE, you know. But
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
like obviously, I'm gonna want like the higher tier,
We didn't
you
want
know.
the basically
Exactly,
the
the
stuff,
tr-
right? The
exactly.
yeah,
contributions.
I
So
feel like
how do I go about that? You know what I mean?
You get
And
someone else
I
to do it for you, right?
Thanks. Yeah, so like I mean that's the thing. Like I want to min max it, right? So like I don't want to have to do that stuff. Like I want to like get online and just go fight people and that's it. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? I don't want to have to like I got to go to my base and like I got to do this and like I got to like I just want to fight. You know what I mean? So I got to figure
Hmm.
out like I want to know how to there's got to be ways to min max this, you know? And that's what I'm curious about. So,
Yeah. So say I'm thinking. I'm sorry. I'm a little like all over the place with this, but I was
no,
thinking
you're
like
good.
OVOs with like combat situations. Do you think it's going to be a lot more streamlined to be able to do that? Like, say you have like an OVO scheduled for like Saturday. What kind of org is Blightveil? Like, what exactly do you guys like to do? Are you like primarily PvP? Do you like a lot of like piracy or event disruption? Like, what do you guys do? What's
Well, if
your
you're
kind
asking
of like
about Blayville
MO?
specifically,
Yeah.
like if in this type of stuff, like once there's consequences in game, and if you looked at some of the other stuff that they said on day two, that you have these insurance and the warranty and all that stuff that's going to come into effect with death of the spaceman, you're going to have to pay these costs out. Like a lot of the OVOs may subside,
Hmm.
especially in the PU when it comes down to cost. There will be
Yep.
some skirmishes and stuff set up to see who's got the bigger stick or whatever, but most of the time for BV, like our focus is to hit the hard targets. Like we
Yep.
want to, if there's a trading guild out there that has like billions of AUEC, but they're covered by like the best security force, we want to take them on. There's going to
yeah,
be a bunch of security forces out there that love playing the good guys.
Hmm.
And there's only so few individuals that are going to do the hard thing, which is I'm going to go into Stanton, I'm going to go into this lawful space, I'm going to hack the comm relay, we're gonna strike the target quickly, rip all
Yeah.
the gear off, steal their loot, and get the fuck out of there. That's our goal. You know, that's what we want to be good at. We have other individuals. We don't restrict gameplay over in
Mhm.
BV. So like we do have people that enjoy mining and salvaging. And the thing is all of that funds the war machine, right?
Yep.
So
Mhm.
all the groups contributing to the general
Yeah.
success. And our main goal is to strike those well defended
I
targets.
don't know if I agree with that, to be honest with you.
Mhm.
And I mean, but everybody's their own. Like everybody can customize and build their work their own way. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm like all about like uh bringing in just like your miners. Like, oh, you're like going to be our salvaging and like having like a salvage division and stuff. I have a whole different philosophy on like the org building, and I think I mean, I actually wrote down on a whiteboard here. I don't know if my camera's big enough on the screen because I can go over it. I'm curious what you think,
Mhm.
Thunder Lake.
Okay.
Um,
I mean, you can
but
contract all that out to specialists. There's people that will just do
that's what
salvaging
I'm
only.
saying. Yes,
Yep.
Mhm.
like my whole thing here is I think and this is getting into org things.
Mhm.
Dad, do you have like a screen where you like it can make me bigger on the side here?
Can we go
Like,
back to the main panel? Let's do that actually. That way it can be a little bit more visually
Well, no. All he's got
available.
to do is push. Oh yeah, okay. I don't know. He's not gonna be any bigger here.
oh, yeah.
I
No, I'm just
can.
saying like wider, so I could show a whiteboard that
Unfortunately, I
I've.
don't have that camera
Uh,
angle.
I
Sorry,
can
man.
damn
do.
it.
My bad.
No, I can do something for him. I think.
Okay.
Um,
What are you
The
doing?
weakness is right. The weakness is with that model, right? If you contract most of your stuff out, you open yourself up to vulnerabilities of infiltration, or you're not really sure exactly who you're working with, right? So, like, I
I guess
mean, I
so.
see Esfer around
Yeah.
here. You know, if you want to drag him in, I'm sure he could tell you that, like, one of the ways that I would defeat River Grit's army if I wasn't able to defeat it, you know, like man on man, is
There it
like,
goes.
okay, I'm gonna sneak in some infills into the refueling org, you know, that he's hired. And guess what? When he's refueling his capital ship, I
Yeah.
got 10 dudes that are trained PvPers. They flip a switch, take over the ship, and fly away.
yeah.
Gotcha. So yeah, okay.
That
That's
was
that's
that was gonna
probably
be my
thinking.
thing too, though. Is that if you're contracting out, you leave a lot of holes for attack, and I
Yep.
think that's a big risk. Like it.
Yeah, I
So
think
you
that's
gotta.
too far in the future for me. Like, I don't like to think that far. I like
Mhm.
to think like set yourself up for success for the current time, and then you build out. And like my thought process is right, and this is just through the lens of a PvP org, right? But first off, if you're a PvP org that has a test, right, for like aces or like FPS groups, like you're doing it wrong. Like we're past that, right? We're in master modes. Um,
Mhm.
I think that there should be some qualifications, yes, but it should be done a certain way. I'm not going to tell you, obviously. I don't want to give up the good sauce, but I think I got
OPSEC.
figured it out. OPSEC. Um,
Yeah. Well,
but
you don't need to know. It's on a need to know
so
basis.
so pretty much
Mhm.
right, like your old PvP orgs, right? Even like looking at the things where um there's going to be these suits, right? And they're going to be like I was watching it today. I'm like there's these suits and they do X, Y, and Z and you have to
Mhm.
get them, you have to do this stuff and then there's like tiered things going on and all that other stuff. I'm thinking I'm like this is like this just destroys the old like PvP org. Like, hey, we're just gonna get a bunch of aces. They pass a test, and then we're an org, and then we're big and bad, right? Well, that was in the previous flight model, but it's a little different now. Now, I don't want to get watered down, and I think a lot of PvP orgs that you're gonna find are gonna turn into a mini Vanguard, and I'm gonna bring up Vanguard because they are the one org that does it right now, right? Like,
Just
I
so you
think
know, I got that set for you. If you want me to, if you
okay.
want to use
Yeah,
the
let's do
whiteboard
it.
too.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm going
There you
full
go.
send on this. And then Thunder Lake, you can like, shut me down on this. And then
Okay.
Esfer and Doc, if you want to, rebuttal this, you can. All right.
Mhm.
So
Actually, we'll just let you fail though. You know, we
yes,
prefer that
yes.
to happen. No,
So
I'm
here's
just
my
kidding.
I have like a simple thought process, right? And I think this is like the best course for the here and now, right? And this is just through the eyes of like what a PvP org is in master modes, expecting the stuff that we saw at CitizenCon today, right?
Mhm.
So, the one org that's doing it right. Oh shit.
There, I saw that coming. I was gonna say he's gonna knock something out. I saw the wire.
Okay, so here's the this might you might not be able to see it.
There it is.
But
There it is.
Oh, we see it
Yeah,
now,
we
this
man.
can
is
You're
see
good.
this
it.
is Vanguard, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, so Vanguard,
Look
right?
at
You
the
got
paper.
PvP division, you got your mining division, you got
Mm-hmm.
salvage cargo, engineering, RP, medical, repairing, refueling, all this other stuff, right? So like that's great, but like, and that's where I see most PvP orgs seeing the solution. Like, oh, we're just gonna, if we got to fill our Krakens up, we're just gonna have like a refueling division, right? And
Mhm.
it's like, what the fuck? Like that don't even work. Like you're just trying to be Vanguard, and they've already been the best ones to do it, right?
Refueling division.
So
That's
like,
hilarious.
yeah, like, and they find themselves like, oh, we want our PvPers who are really, really good, and then we're gonna have like our people that are gonna like support us, and like they have like a division set for them. I don't see it working. I think it's dumb, right? So, and then you bring at the bottom, and you bring crafting and tiered items into the equation of all these. And how do you think all these people are going to communicate? They're not going to be able to communicate. It's not going to be effective. You can't min-max that shit, right? So, in the realm, I don't know if you can see this, in the realm of SC gaming, it does not work.
Do this
doesn't-
work. Does the work.
I probably butchered
This
45 of these words.
This
I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
I had to.
So, and it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Like, I mean, you look at like, Vanguard, like they have really fucking good pilots. You know what I mean? But it's also kind of like a shit show. There's like people have different views. There's no one singular aligned goal, and that's the issue, right? So with PvP, right, you gotta think on a realistic timeline. So like, this is so funny. I can't wait for someone like Snapchat, like take a screenshot of this and make fun of me about it later. So like you got to think about it in a realistic timeline, like the here and now, right? And it's not coming right away, like the stuff in the future that we're trying to prep for, right? So, wait, what do I have here? And the goal, right, is to not get watered down as a PvP org, and you want to use the Bob orgs that get you those things so you can min max to your advantage, right? So, should probably move over a little bit more.
Perfect.
So this is so funny. I was waiting to do this all night. So how do you do this, right? Reputation, right? So reputation is how you accomplish this, to not get watered down, but you're still able to min-max with the, the Bob stuff that you don't want to do because your group is solely focused. You have one vision and one goal in mind, right? And if as a PvP org, it should just be PvP, whether it's piracy, X, Y, and Z. So the way you do that is just be the most badass fucking group that you can be, like disruption. Like go out there to the Bob orgs, and just fucking wreak
He wants
havoc.
to say kneecap them.
Kneecap them, like hurt them, right? You hunt them, you get your name out there. It's all about the reputation. So you get your name out there that like you are like a cohesive, very well run group. You do OVOs, content creators help. Like if you have all that in an org with one vision, I think you'll be good, right? And then if you do all that, right? So this is my last thing. This is my last thing. So bear with me.
The letters are getting smaller too.
Yeah.
Enhance.
So,
enhance.
Yeah, enhance this. So when the time comes, right, you're going to be a specialized group, right? So you are literally, your whole entire group is just min-maxing one thing, right? And then you have a set culture and goal.
There we go.
But then you're going to get the pick of like the Bob orgs that you want, because when the time comes, like those groups, like they're going to be asking you. Yeah, they're going to be like at your door, like, hey, like, do you want to like party up? Because like we really need X, Y, Z, and you're providing value to them. You know what I'm saying? So like the goal here is like just reputation. So in the meantime, if you do all things encompassing PvP and don't get watered down, you build yourself up to be,
I like what the
to
Bearded
get to the
Blink
point.
said. Big orgs are hurting cats. Been there, done that.
So I want to talk about a couple things. I think you should probably pull in a couple other org leads here. If you have the time to pop in, Doc, and Nesfer to pop in, so we can poke holes in River's argument here.
Yes.
We want to do that all together? We can do that.
Yeah, I think the thing. I think you got a couple things that are super right there, right? So a lot of the reputation you build will translate over to a lot of orgs that specialize in other things. And if you welcome in, guys.
Welcome, guys. Hey, Doc.
Ew. All right.
So we'll pop them in.
We got a crowd of org leads here.
We'll just do it all together.
Yeah, basically, part of the issue that you're identifying is that you have finite resources and time, right? You can only really spend so much time as a leader or as a group and yourself to focus on certain roles. If you try to set a division for everything, there's going to be inherent weaknesses in that, right? Because you might not be the best at salvaging whatever, and then it might fracture your group because someone has more fun doing this or that. My argument to that is versatility. People don't have to just be good at one thing. Like, we have a group of individuals that really want to be engineers, but they also are dead fucking crack shots in FPS.
Absolutely.
So, like, you can do a couple things. You don't have to, like,
it's just like the
only
Marine
focus on
Corps.
that.
Like, you're a Swiss Army knife. Like, you're a rifleman first, but then you're a medic, right? Like, I'm fully with that. It's like all things encompassing PvP. And also, we're all nerds for playing this game. So we're all going to be like, if there's like a hot trading route or something like that, maybe we'll try it out. I don't know. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think everybody, like, we don't just PvP,
No,
we're all Star
1000%.
Citizen players.
But like, I think you're on the right.
Damn,
this is
thank you,
the
Shankers. Sorry. go ahead.
Shankers fucking going heavy.
Holy shit.
Thanks, Shankers.
Blowing everybody up.
Fucking
Basically, I think the biggest thing that you hit, like, straight on was the culture and focusing on a singular goal. If you as an org don't have a singular goal that this is what I want to do, this is what our group does, this is our main focus, you're gonna fracture, stagnate. You're not gonna be performing well. So hitting that, like, picking what you want to do and driving that home, making sure the culture is correct, is the right way to build that org and grow those things. I think you're right about the reputation that people will come to you.
Yeah.
But part of the weakness of that is once your reputation takes a hit, you align with the wrong group or get fucking steamrolled, all of a sudden,
that's a risk
all those
also.
Bob orgs can just go, hey, look, you're no good. I'm going to go to this
Yeah,
guy.
I
And
don't-
now
I don't-
you're struggling.
You see, I don't know. I disagree because I don't think Bob orgs keep up with the drama of PvP orgs.
Other PvP orgs.
They
will
don't.
bring it
They
up to
probably have
them.
no idea what's going on. Honestly, it's like
No.
if I wasn't involved in like the PvP or
It's very
I wouldn't have any idea about any of this stuff that we're talking about or anything because I wouldn't even know these like 4 or 5 orgs exist realistically.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's
just look
pretty
at, like,
easy to
Sikon.
manipulate.
There was like a handful of like orgs. It was just like, what? I've never heard of these guys before. I think the only one I heard of was Med Runners. We all know that's GrieferNet. So it was nice that you guys Sphere hosted a panel. By the way, I like seeing that.
Yeah.
Not everybody is supposed to know that's our newest division.
So Doc and Sir, what do you guys think of River Grit's plan for the new and improved PvP org that is with these org systems? How is it going to succeed or fail?
Look.
Oh,
I'm not.
Yeah, you're different. You're a griefing org.
Look, I think there's many paths to success. I mean, if I were to go to EVE Online and take inspiration, Goon Swarm Federation, super famous in EVE. Pretty much everybody knows if anybody's ever like looked at EVE for any amount of time, they know who the fuck Goon Swarm Federation is.
Yeah.
Then they're the way they run, as far as I know, is more like Warhammer 40k, God Emperor, Corpse King kind of setup. You know what I mean? Very agile, authoritarian structure. They got pushed back into like one of their more recent orgs. I'm not really one of the more recent wars. I'm not sure how long ago it was because I don't play EVE, but they got pushed back into just a handful of their home systems by a coalition of orgs, like completely different leadership style.
Yeah,
completely different. And to say that that's not to say they weren't successful, despite being differently ran, like I wouldn't. I just think you'd be incorrect. So I think there's definitely many pathways to success.
Yeah, I think so too.
So
yeah, I could see that. You'll have to forgive me though, River. So I'm not. I just got back from like a family dinner and toddlers and infants. So you'll have to fill me in on what your new and improved winter org plan is.
No,
I think you got to share it. You got to share it again.
No, I think I'll pass. I'll pass on that. Yeah. No, it's just like yeah, no, I just don't think I think a lot of and this is those PvP orgs saying like we have a couple different people here on the panel, right? We have like Thunder Lake who's like in a PvP org, masterful at like OVOs, and his group's like mega active, right? We got Esper, who's a griefer, right? And then Doc, you're run a pirate
No
org, right?
affiliation to Grievous Pub.
So,
No.
yeah. So I mean,
gotta slip that in, right?
so I'd rather know like what these three different types of groups like think about sitcon and like the future of like where the game is going. I think that's the most important take.
Okay, so I guess I can kind of pick up from there. I don't mean to step on anyone's toes, so just stop me if I'm
No,
going
just
too
go
long.
for it. Just go
You're
for it,
good.
man.
But yeah, so been talking about this back and forth for the last few days. Yesterday I was mostly focused on the org tools and like going into how that affects what I do, and then today was really more so backtracking because there was so much that was spread across so many different panels. For example, if you wanted to look at industry and how crafting works, you got to watch like 3 or 4 different panels. So there's a lot in there. I think that I'm still trying to catch up with. I think at the end of the day, though, there there's going to be different kinds of leadership strategies and different kinds of um, goals. So for example, with Iron Point, we're currently trying to figure out how we're going to best achieve these goals with the new knowledge that we got from CitizenCon. I'll take base building, for example, right? The last panel showcased building a star base, org owned star base, player owned star base, and they sold it as like this is end game content. Well, my big question is like, why do I need that? Do I need that station for something? They showed off refining and cargo and some
Yeah.
hangars, and that's cool. But
Mm.
when they talked about industry and actually producing ships, they talked about all things on the ground. So I don't know that I really need a star base, for example, to
That's a good point.
reach end game content.
It's interesting.
So it really depends on what becomes beneficial to the org.
I wonder if, honestly, though, speaking on that, if people or orgs will have those things just to say they have them and to look, you know what I mean? For just like it's a status symbol, you know what I mean? Like it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Like going
so,
for
to
sure.
90.
because it would be cool. It would, you know what I mean? Like it would be cool to be like,
Yeah, no, I
here's
know this
all
is.
my different locations of my org, you know, like, and all
Oh,
this,
right.
right?
Exactly. And I think like now if I were successful enough and I controlled territory and I'm doing good and you know what, I got free cash to throw out for something that's essentially just a big ass target. Yeah, I'm going to do it just for
Mhm.
status. I mean, look at gosh, there's so many different MMOs to draw from. Just Star Trek Online, like
Yeah.
player, or rather, what do they call it? It wasn't orgs or corps, but basically, grouping stations was a big thing, and having the last tier station was like huge prestige. Like people looked for that when they were looking for groups to join.
Yeah. Hey, well, here's my other thing too. Is like if you have all these different bases, right? Like a PvP org, me, for example, I would want potential conflict. So if you have multiple bases, what you do is become a target, right? People are going to be looking for fights or are going to be trying to take over what you have because now it's like, oh, you know, I don't know, you just having all those resources, you become a target. And what that does,
Absolutely.
it brings action, you know what I mean? It brings fun.
Mhm.
So that would be
Absolutely.
for me a big plus of having all that is being able to attract that attention so we can like you know, all of a sudden we do a signal flare and it's be like, we need all hands on deck. This base is getting attacked. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool.
Oh yeah. So and you kind of hit the nail on the head there. So as a bunch of pirates, we're looking for those bases to hit. We're looking to make incursions into I don't know what else to call them, but high sec space. We're looking to make those incursions into other people's low sec bases. But at the same time, if I need to put those resources somewhere that I've gathered, if I make a base, that's going to be someone else's target. So it's not just being able to protect that base. That's just the PvP aspect of it. But it's being able to fuel that base, to build
Yeah.
it,
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
staff it. Now that you're looking at just those three things, your grouping of cool badass pilots is great to have, but they're one part of the larger puzzle.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is trying to figure out how all this affects me. Is I think I'm sitting pretty good, but I'm not sitting happy where I'm at right now. And I think there's some things I got to do, or at least some more things I got to think about. But the industry side of this game is going to become very important. I mean, there's one thing you could say, you know, Shadow Moses or Pax or Griefernet can go and win a fight, But can they win a war? What wins wars? Logistics. Do any of us think about logistics?
I think memes and people's ideas win wars. Because
Yeah.
if you
Propaganda.
propaganda. Like if you
Propaganda.
get enough people fucking agreeing that this person's a shitter, like
Hearts and minds.
yeah.
Well, I guess my point is as we go into this more developed game, I think we're going to find ourselves, at least from Iron Point's perspective, needing more industrially minded people. And maybe I'm putting the cart before the horse. Maybe this is something that players will just handle on their own and it really won't be that big of a deal. Maybe I don't need I mean, I hate divisions. I'm never making divisions. But like maybe all those orgs out there that are standing up like, oh, this is our fighter wing, this is our logistics wing. Maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you just stick to general.
Yeah,
gameplay.
we don't actually know yet, But then also,
Right.
like, Doc, you're in a pirate org. Like, you could probably just steal the shit that you need, right? Like,
I would like
I
to
don't
think
know.
so, but
We don't know that either.
Right, exactly. I would like to continue to do so, but we'll see what happens at the end of the day.
I think that matters on like effectiveness of your group in the first place. Like how like prepared are you for like getting into the actual, bases and infiltrating, making sure that you have the resources to get all the resources out in the first place, making sure that you have everything lined up. Logistics, like you said, is going to come into play so much further than I think we're giving it credit for.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Man, it's hard to tell. What my question is when they're designing this star base and then the ground stuff and the big giant citywide bases, and what population is CIG modeling all this gameplay after? You know what I mean? Like how
All
many
right, tell me
like
about it.
how many players are they expecting an org that would be big enough to hold a starbase and manage a city?
Absolutely.
Like how-
One of the things I told one of my friends just today is like I'm at 620 people and I feel inadequate for this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a high task to ask anyone because you're a target for so many in such a small space. But obviously, like you can hide things and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not sure.
Well,
like even if we
Because
had,
this is not going to be EVE Online with like orgs having 20,000 people and them
Yeah.
just being able to throw 6,000 people into a fight.
Well,
You know
the
what I
funny
mean?
thing is that somebody pointed out too, like we were watching like this Squadron 42 example, like where they had like all this space like fighting going on, and they were like, imagine the desync if this was like live in the PU and you could have fit like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like sure, like the desync doesn't really isn't happening right now the way things are sitting, I guess, but that's also with 100-player servers and you're looking at maybe like 13 to 20 people in the same area, right? But like now imagine hundreds of people, right? So I find it difficult just to imagine them even being able to figure that portion of it out, of it being so reliable that you can actually have these huge, large scale situations. You know what I mean? That's where I'm struggling. Like, if they,
Go ahead.
Yeah, especially when they're they're talking about having like a player fucking change out your tire in the space station
your
where
pit
fighters
crew.
coming in during a fight or something.
yeah,
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, right. I think
Yep.
for me, it's not so much the underlying, like, oh, can they make it stable? It's more of the like broader view, like, can I manage that? Like,
Yeah.
they showcase the org tools, and those look pretty nice and all. But if I'm going to be managing hundreds of active players at any given time, that's not going to cut it.
yeah. Well,
You're gonna need a much more robust system.
that's
for
where
that
we
type
start
of-
using
Mhm.
external
Yeah.
tools, like always.
yeah,
right?
you'll
I
start
mean,
using third-party tools.
yeah, like
Okay,
like
so
we always do.
you had
Well, if they
mentioned
could
that
ever give us an API, that'd be great.
you had mentioned the tools that they were
Right.
like providing right now aren't going to be enough. What does CIG need then to streamline that kind of stuff into like
So-
a bigger audience?
So I know that both Thunder Lake and Esper can agree with me on this. We need an integrated comm system, something where you can nest comms within game. Because right now we're left to like Discord, which has no whisper functionality, TeamSpeak if you like to be an old codger, or SRS if you
Mhm.
like to pretend that you're flying airplanes.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
there's not a lot of options, and just being able to nest comms for a fleet fight would do so much good for us. But that's only just the talking portion, like the managing people, what they do, giving tasks, rewards, setting goals for individual groups if you want to go that way.
Yeah.
There's just not anything there.
it just requires this game is going to get really complicated really fast when they have these systems come in. You need to be like you have to flex your organization skills, like,
Yeah.
and it's for me it's going to be a challenge. I've never had to do something like that before to that scale, but I'm looking forward to trying my hand at it at least.
Yeah, I
same.
think that there's an advantage to like getting into the game early and then growing with the game because you can start developing those skills with the game as the skill of the game
Absolutely.
increases, you can develop with it. I also do want to note though, I do think I know you guys like it's hard to imagine like having that many people like it being that large scale, but at the same time, I think if they do figure out and do get it as stable, I realistically could see this game like that many people being involved. I really could.
Oh yeah,
because I mean they're doing everything that I feel like was. I mean, it was like my dream as a kid to be able to play a game that's this involved. You know what I mean? So
Just entirely depends on how optimized they can make the game.
yeah,
So,
exactly.
yeah.
That's the problem. Yeah.
And if it gets there and like we've got like hundreds of people to manage, I'm probably barely ever going to play the game. I'm mostly going to be playing spreadsheets.
I know.
So here's
that's
the
going
positive.
to be the game for you. Yeah.
But
Right.
people who lead orgs, they kind of sign up for that shit. They must like it
Yeah.
to some degree.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So
I got a
positive
question
of
for-
having like the big orgs, like the big org battles at like 1 FPS is you're going to have time to look at those spreadsheets. By the time they get to the enemy, you'll be like 4 or 5 like fields down and ready for the next command, right?
What's your question?
What were we going to
River?
say, River? That was my bad.
Oh no, you're good. I think my internet just took a shit or something. My question's for Esfer because I'm just curious. I know and I'm not saying you do this, but like I know they mentioned a whole thing with like stream sniping, and like there's no more server lists anymore and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like if you're trying to hunt events, right, and do that kind of thing, in server, like how are you going to do that in server meshing? Like, do we even know if that's going to be possible, right? Or is it just going to be like a word of mouth thing? Like, hey, you have a friend on XYZ server and they saw, like, it might be hard, honestly, in the future.
I mean, I mean, our method is infiltration, right? So, I mean, we
Yeah,
would
I
just
feel like
join
it
on
might-
our guy.
Yeah,
It
Yeah,
might
just join an
actually be-
RSI, and it's easier actually.
It
now.
might
Yeah.
actually be easier with that in-game calendar. Because
Yeah.
they'll be utilizing it, right? So it's like if you get a guy
Yeah.
inside their ROG, they watch that calendar and it's like, oh, they're doing this day.
Yeah,
See,
I say
and
that. I say that's
yeah.
pretty stonks for grief on it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, no kidding. So like that was a question I had earlier when I saw that calendar. I was like, oh, that's cool. Can I lock that behind ranks and permissions, or is
Yeah,
that
I was
just
like,
That's a good question. Yeah.
permissions. That's another thing. Permissions.
Right.
They need to be super robust for me to be satisfied.
Mhm.
But
Yeah, no
I
kidding.
think in general, the whole sitcom, the experience, I'm really satisfied actually.
Really?
Guys, I know we've been chatting in PAX Discord and the super secret bounty hunting Discord called the Continental, led by Birdwatcher.
I don't know what you mean.
anyway, for those in there, know that I've been ranting about all this stuff, and I want the interconnection of all the professions. I want the the materials to mean something, to have a pipeline, to have logistics. So hearing all of that, just them putting it to words, I'm really satisfied. Whether or not they actually implement it is neither here nor there for me. They have in my mind now, they have a solid framework for a game. They said 5-star systems. I'm like, okay, doable. You know what I mean? Five-star systems, base rating. Here's a game loop of raw material to crafting to ships.
Yeah.
Some loose form of economy, which I still have questions about, but that's a whatever.
Yeah.
And then that's the loop. And then you fight, you spend money, you make money, you spend money again, you keep fighting, and that's it. You know what I mean? And
They're
I'm all
getting more
for it.
based. Their takes are a bit more based for sure. Like, with the Citizen Con, like they're looking at orgs, they're looking at actual MMO features. The issue that I'm seeing is that with these other MMOs that some of us have been playing, it's like, okay, you beat this group. Now they ally with that group. How many groups can you ally with? Is it the whole server? Can you bring 1,000 people to the area? Like, what's the limit? Is there a logistical issue?
So 2 points real quick. One, I do agree with Sepher. Like, it was really nice to see them put together like a gameplay loop on the screen. And then to Thunder Lake's point, I actually had a question about that. So they were showing how to do alliances when they were talking about org tools, and they mentioned that it's a two-way agreement. You and the other guy gotta ally themselves. But let's take this situation into consideration. Say I ally with Thunder Lake, River Grit, and Sepher, and then all four of us are all allies, and then Elder comes along, and I'm like, I like Elder a lot too, so I ally Elder. Is he allied now with Sepher, River Grit, and Thunder Lake?
I mean, he's already allied with River, so you don't have to worry about that.
I'm wondering. I'm wondering if there's going to be a whole separate alliance structure where there's like a alliance leadership and stuff like that.
So imagine though if they don't, if they only leave it on like a per basis, like 1-to-1, like we're all friends with whoever we want to be. What sort of social network are we going to have to unwind just to go to war with somebody?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I mean, that's the spice, man. That's what creates the drama, man. That's the
real talk. That's what you want.
The epic space opera storyline that I'm fucking craving, bro.
It's gonna be nuts.
It can be a nightmare. It depends on how you structure your alliances, right?
I mean,
you can go into it like with your pants half down, bend over, and say, "Hey, you want to be my ally?" Or you can go into it and be like, "All right, I can only ally with these 3 people," and then if anyone else, if you ally, you have to tell me. Things like that.
I personally would only want to ally with the person I want. I don't give a damn who you're allied with unless we come to a specific agreement, right? But otherwise, I wouldn't I don't have to like who you like necessarily. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's not. I feel like it would be it should be just like a 1-to-1 thing. Like I'm allied with, dare I say, Griefanet. Right? But I'm not allied with who Griefanet is allied with, Don't clip it.
Clip that. So
y'all keep trying to run away from it, and the farther you run away, the closer you get. Y'all are all Griefanet.
So listen. Can I just say, I'm sorry. I just want to say this.
No,
literally
you
someone in the comments of the YouTube thought we were Griefanet's podcast. And it had to be clarified that we are not actually Griefanet at all. We just had Spur on. They were like, "Oh,
Elder, you dug your own grave, dum. You named it Griefer's Pub.
Yeah,
you're a patent for Griefer."
So I got a question.
Literally, Griefanet's winning the reputation war. Like if you had a war right now, you just can't name it.
For being so infamous. Right. Actually, a question for Spur. This is one I'm kind of curious about. With the changes to the comm list, do you think we're going to see less moderation from CIG in that process? Do you think they're going to be a little bit more? Do you think they're going to be fucking finally hands off? Because I really hope so.
I hope so.
I'm sick of because I just see this really new situation happening with base building. A bit, say a streamer or someone really prominent in the community builds a base, they get raided. They're like, oh wait, it's metagame. They found it out via my stream and I broadcast my location and now they know. And it's just what limits are we going to have there? You know what I mean?
Let's put stream sniping to the side. Here's what I foresee maybe happening. You find someone's base, and then that base is just gonna be there. It's gonna be hard for them to just pick up and move. And maybe you lose the fight one day. Well, you just keep fucking going. You keep attacking them until for infinite amount of time until they're
you're stuck in one location.
Is that considered excessive?
Yeah, is that excessive griefing? Can we only attack a base a certain amount of time per certain period of time? And
it better not be like that. That'd be crazy.
I come from a really big Rust and DayZ background, and I want it to be just like that, where if you raid that base, you can raid it until it's fucking griefed off the planet.
Yeah,
that's what I want to see.
I'm sure that's where they're going. They showed the way that you can protect them by going over with those get those shield hubs. So if you have an org that keeps on getting those shield hubs, you might not be able to raid them or whatever it is.
Yeah.
So there was some interesting and conflicting information on that. So with the high sec shield or planetary shields that there are, there was one part in the panel where they said that if you're in high sec and you got a base and it's got protection, pirates could delay the NPC response to protect your base by shutting off comm and I was left there scratching my head, like, does that mean I can attack bases that are under planetary shields? Like, what does this mean?
Yeah, it's a good question.
It is, it's and I don't think they even know yet, honestly. So I like a lot of the stuff they talked about and with the developing, but I think this also, it's one of those things too where it has to be implemented for them to try to figure out how they're gonna work it in. You know what I mean?
How easy are bases gonna be? Like, how easy are they gonna be to find? Also on a planet.
Oh, I can tell you that for sure. So scouring a moon and finding just, if you want to find a single person out mining in a prospector on a moon, give me 10 guys in 2 hours. I'll find them.
Just go like one direction on the moon and just see what happens.
Grid search it, right?
Pretty much,
So,
yeah.
Despite the speculation, like if we look at CitizenCon as a whole, like, you know, we all signed up for the FOIP, you know, system improvements, right? The facial recognition. But I'm just saying, like, if it comes to the org stuff that we're doing, right? Because if all these changes happen tomorrow, how does that change your game loop? You know, what are you going to do differently? Orgs are now going to be communicating a lot more, you know, working with their forces. You know, you're going to be able to identify who fought you, where you saw someone, communicate with them. You're going to have a little bit more touch base with your community, even those ones that might not be always on, but maybe, you know, have an hour to play or something like that. You'll see where they are, maybe get them into a party. It's going to be a heaven for those people that want to play solo or the people that are newer, because they're going to look at the party system. They're going to, you know, respond to a beacon. Oh, they got shot because the guy totally griefed them, and they're going to put them on the block list or the kill on site list. So these systems, I think, are beneficial for the game as a whole. I would love to see them implemented properly. But again, like you guys mentioned, the networking and performance needs to improve to allow us to actually play the game.
It has to improve infinitely better too. It can't be like it doesn't need to just improve. It like needs to be a lot better.
Well, yeah, and economy. Like we have to have economy, or this whole thing won't work.
Thunder Lake did mention something that I think is going to be a huge improvement to large organizations at large is he was talking about being able to touch base with your community. Like once they have that org chat system in game where you can see all the people in your org that are actually playing, rather than me having to individually friend everybody to see if they're online, like it's going to be so much easier to get cooperation and involvement from people that otherwise don't really care to jump on Discord all that often.
So actually, this is
1,000%.
Yeah, I'm not inviting you if you're not going on Discord.
Here's this is a little off topic. Do you think that the new block list, when you see someone with a screenshot or like, you know, a streamer like blocks a certain like person, you see it like actively on that list? Do you think that's going to be like insult channels when that finally is like, you know, public?
Oh yeah.
I think that is the dumbest thing. I don't think they should have that feature.
I think the block list is going to work to the advantage of the person getting blocked, because they're not going to see you talking, or like they're not going to notice you in like maybe in the I'm sure they're going to have like
use it as
global chat that's close by, right? So they're not going to even know you're there, and then you'll show up and kill them. The blocking, if anything, hurt them, you know?
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
It's definitely a feature for those people who just want to kind of cut that out, right? So like people can make bad choices, right? And blocking individuals is going to lead you to suboptimal intel, especially on the server and things like that, because you don't know if they're talking, whatever. But like, you know, I guess what CIG is doing is just allowing people to play the game how they want. And if you want to play the game Star Citizen with a blindfold on and crash your ship into the hangar bay, like they're going to allow that. Like I'm looking at these bases and these things, and I'm looking at the hangars, and I'm just seeing them full of fucking wreckage, because it's ridiculous. You know, it's going to be so destructive, and it's going to take like one or two people to ruin it, right? But I mean, that's going to be funny sometimes.
Yeah, I think blocking is fine. It's a social feature that I think just I mean, if you don't want to,
that should just
if you don't want to hear, if you don't want to see what someone's saying, then whatever. That's
I mean, I'm not against it. I think it's just it's like shooting yourself in the foot.
Right. Well, that's their choice, right?
Yeah,
so, pretty much. Yeah.
I think muting would be better. I think blocking is too strong.
Yeah. Well, I think it is a soft mute. I don't think it's like a block where like, you know, you'll never be on the same shard as this person. I don't think that's how it is, because that would be That's
That
a
would be
little too
awful.
OP.
That wouldn't even
If,
work.
Yeah.
if I remember
So
correctly,
I think it's like a soft mute.
I
was only
think
comms.
blocking in Elite Dangerous meant the person you didn't even see them in a
Yeah, but it's a
vicinity
different,
or something.
entirely
So,
different network scheme. Like it's peer
Yeah.
to peer.
I'm
That
just
was
saying,
actually
if
one
it
of
was
our
something like
questions.
that, it
Can
would
I
be
bring that up?
ridiculous.
So here's a question from one of our viewers. It says, how worried are we about this block list for the game? Do you think it will go the route of Elite Dangerous where you can't even be seen by someone who blocks you?
I didn't know they said
The
that.
exact same thing. We're just bringing it
No.
up.
No,
Yep,
there's
exactly.
no way it will go that way.
No, because it's a shard. It's the
yeah.
shard system.
Yeah,
they
it
got
can't.
dedicated servers. I don't think they. I don't
And
think
not
they'll
only
be able
that,
to
but
do that.
it's just people
No.
use stuff like that to their advantage, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, that's
it's-
ridiculous.
Yeah, it would
That's
be
ridiculous.
It was ridiculous in the in Elite Dangerous. Like people
Yeah.
would block a certain person, so now they were like stronger as a result because that person couldn't attack you or something. Yeah, that would be absolutely ridiculous.
What I
Like,
am
I don't
worried
even
about.
want to exist in the same space as them, and they hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
Okay.
What I am worried about is the easier access to report tools, where you can just click a button and report.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
so
Yeah, I
how are they
saw
gonna?
that.
How are they gonna do that? Like, is it? My fear is that they're just gonna have an automated system after a certain amount of threshold of reports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That or they need to hire a lot more people.
No, probably Chat GPT or
Mhm.
something. Like,
So
I'm sure
Yeah,
AI
we can
will get involved in that.
We get
Totally
reported all the
agree.
time. I know it. I know Esper does too. But like these
Mhm.
people, they're soft, man. You do anything that they don't like, and all of a sudden they're reporting you to Knight Rider or somebody. It's like,
Do you
who
guys
cares?
mind if I shuffle our topic a little bit? I want to talk about like base building and crafting, and how is that going to change the structure and purpose of PvP organizations? I've asked this already, but I want to just hear everyone's take on that. If you got any thoughts on that?
Well, I thought we were kind of talking about it though. Like, we
well,
weren't kinda
Yeah,
into
so-
but
that,
like,
yeah.
do you think that it's going to like create like new goals, or like, do you think all of a sudden Griefernet won't be able to do event disruption because you're ramming too many ships into like, or like A2s are like blown up or whatever?
We
I
don't
don't
even
know. Like,
ram that much.
Sver hates ramming, and I know
I
that
know he
for a
does.
fact.
I
He
know he
hates
does. He does,
ramming.
yeah.
So
Mhm.
how? I guess if you want to take another game as an example, look at EVE Online and how a large conflict was handled. Sure,
Yeah.
there were those nice, sexy fleet battles that everybody wrote home about, but in the background, what's really going on is massive amounts of replenishment of lost ships, and being able to get people out of a dead ship and into a new one as fast as possible so they can go and hold territory. So
It gives
in
you
Star-
another win condition. Sorry.
Mhm.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. But in Star Citizen, I see it going the same way. I think as far as base building and whatnot goes, it's all going to be geared towards what do we need to build to fabricate in order to protect ourselves or to fight a war.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. So right now winning is either wiping the team like once or whatever,
Mhm.
or until they leave the server,
Yeah. So they leave the
or just
server.
that the both or one side gets bored before the other, and they leave.
Yeah.
Now you can have like a financial win condition where you just kill them so much that their wallets are empty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
in
go ahead.
relation to like PV, oh, I'm sorry, Thunder. Like you go right ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say in relation to PvP orgs, like you have a lot of very specialized PvP orgs out there right now. They have amazing pilots, top of the line, and that's all they do.
They're
But
all
unfortunately,
inactive actually right now.
Yeah,
well,
pretty much.
let's
True
pretend
talk.
they weren't.
Yeah. It's more of a dig.
Right, but let's pretend they weren't, right? So they've got all these great aces, but that's all they do. I don't know how many times I've come across like really good pilots that it said like, I ain't doing any of that Bob shit. It's like, okay, you're not going to help yourself if that's your mindset. Like I understand wanting to be good, and if you only want to be good at fighting and dogfighting, then you're going to be an esports team, not a PvP team.
Yeah. No, and I get that. I think there is going to be orgs like that.
For
Liberty Reapers.
Yeah. I mean,
for us, it's like I see base building to answer Deadfrag's question, how it changes the game for us. It's like it brings new people to the game, right?
Yep.
It brings people that want to do that type of game loop in Star Citizen, even if they're not wanting to be part of a PvP org, if they're not wanting to be, someone who specializes in mining, maybe they just like building cool bases and like nice scenery. Like it brings more people to the game that will enjoy it. Sure, they're going to be targets for some individuals. Sure, they're going to want to join up with other groups, but like, you know, a couple of those people who really love base building are also great PvPers, and they're willing to put up with the networking issues and things like that because guess what? They love the satisfaction of defeating a foe, taking their base, turning it into something else, you know, taking the territory. It's all about that for a lot of people that are waiting
Do
to
you guys
get
think
into the game.
that like base raiding and infiltration and, you know, taking down these like larger spaceports is going to be enough of an end game goal for organizations?
I think so. I think the
Oh, yeah.
idea. So okay, if
Here-
I could jump on the whole base thing too, they had mentioned about I forget the name of the company, but like the whole shield, the base shield concept, and it's gonna be
Seal.
this. It's almost like it feels like this almost like battlegrounds type thing where it's like. Sale. That's what it was. Where it's like you have to get so first of all, you have to be an org that's able to like rank to the highest, right? So you're probably gonna have to be a big org. I don't I don't like that whole concept. I to me it just is like feels kind of lame. Well, you know what I mean? You're gonna have people competing for like leaderboard for like a shield for a week or something. I don't know. It's not really my thing. But the one thing I did like about it though is that the way to get through the shield is like you have to have people infiltrate and get in and then try to shut it down. That's cool to me. But like we could, again, this is my opinion. I feel like we could do without that whole like everybody's competing for the top of the leaderboard to be able to get this shield on their base for the week. Like I don't know. I just think that's whatever. I mean, personally.
Well, I'll turn this around. If you're in a large enough org and you guys are competing for that shield and you win that leaderboard, you start killing everybody else that could even contend with that. You don't let anybody else on that leaderboard, and I think that's how territory control is gonna
I
foster
guess,
in
but
the end.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just not a fan. I'm not a fan. I don't know. I don't like the idea. I think it's just
I
it's like
think-
you gotta get involved in these battlegrounds or something.
I don't really like the whole like only certain orgs are gonna be able to have like a station or something. I think having like the cool like the state having a org station is fucking cool in my eyes. I think a lot of people would agree.
Oh yeah.
That just having a station is like cool, man.
Griefer Nets
so,
is just
like,
gonna be filled with Metrunner bodies.
I think every org should have the ability, like should have the option after, you know, an amount of effort, maybe more than others, depending on how big they are, to build something like that. But I think the people, if you want to make the most money and be the most robust org and just have your territory war, quote unquote, won't be to have the shield in your base, but to maintain an area of high profit. That's what I think.
Okay.
That's
what I mean?
actually pretty insightful, yeah, because it comes back to like, why are we fighting over this? Do I actually get anything out of it? The same thing with the player stations is like, okay, they're cool, but is it worth it?
Yeah. Speaking of getting things out of it, do you think it's going to be nice to see role specific jobs, like say that infiltration for FPS while the dogfighters in the background are actually doing their job? Do you think that'll actually be a little bit more of a refresher or like a refreshment for like, you know, PvPers? It'll be something new and something we don't have right now. We don't have
fuck yeah, dude.
like boarding ships and all that that often, you know, because encounters are so fucking slim sometimes, especially in like the last few patches. It feels like that.
You're okay, so you're saying instead of just everyone being in a fighter in the air and shooting until all the fighters are gone, we're gonna do
You actually
fighters
have people
while
like on
knowing
foot
that there's
and doing
people
everything
like
else.
there's people in a tank rolling into a base and there's like fucking
Yep,
warthogs going across, you know, like at the same time, and people are EVAing like fucking Master Chief in Halo 2 into someone's space station,
Need a weapon.
arming a bomb or whatever the fuck. Like, of course that's gonna be cooler, man.
And not having to set that up beforehand. Right, like it being organic to the point where this is the best thing to do, not because
you can't talk about organic, okay?
Oh, the only reason why we do these things is because none of it's organic. You can't do any of these things without making something up, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll hopefully, do you think org wars are going to replace those OVOs that you keep doing?
Oh yeah.
Do you think it'll
certainly.
actually be a good, helpful?
I don't know.
There'll be an actual reason to do it, like without it being pre-planned, right?
Because we may set up a base. We may set up a base sometime and be like, "Hey, guess what? There's fucking 4 million of stolen goods here. Everyone, go fight. I'll just drop a location, and then guess what? There goes Jumptown." You know.
Hold on. So this is where like org relationships also come into play, because you have to think. Let's say I'm have a really good relationship with I don't know Black Fleet or something, and then Black Fleet gets attacked by A, B, and C for their resources. So, right. So what that does, it kind of creates this like situation where it's like I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna try to help them, because and then maybe there's an exchange of resources, but the whole economy and stuff kind of comes together from there. I think. I don't think you're gonna end up in a situation where you're gonna have to set up these pre-planned org v orgs where for no reason, because now this stuff is happening based on relationships, based on resources, stuff like that. Like I think there's just gonna be a lot of different aspects. We're doing it now because why? What else is there to do? You're not fighting over anything other than just
Bases are going to be too
reputation.
easy to find for you to do anything else but go raid bases all the time.
Pretty
Oh,
much.
I
Yeah.
look forward to it.
Me
Oh,
too.
it's gonna
Do you
be so
think
fun.
do you think it's going to be too expensive for orgs in the long run? Like say you exhaust all of your resources and now you have to build it back up. Do you think those fights that you are taking all the time are going to be a little bit more limited because of economy actually having
Depends.
meaning and value?
I hope so. I
Yeah, I
hope
think so.
economy is a limiting factor.
Yeah,
That's the one
I
way
don't
to.
see a lot of org wars happening. At least maybe at the beginning you'll see a lot of them until people figure out, oh
Mhm.
hey, you know what? It sucks mining everything to build another Kraken.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think
People are going to choose their fights a little bit more carefully. The thing
Yeah.
is, though, is once a fight happens,
Yeah.
it's going until one player or one group has no fucking resources to push. You know.
absolutely, it's not going to be this fun ego fight that we've been enjoying in our communities for the last few years. It's going to
It's
be
either that or you're
visceral.
gonna have to like retreat. And if like say you have a remote base where you're like say in the Kraken and they can't trace you back to it, you might have more benefit than actually having like a stationary base or like a spaceport base, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
CIG
Sure.
says Griefernet is hitting almost every event. Like if, but in this new system, if hitting events is an expensive thing to do, then that would just
Th-
be like it would put some
Then you'll do
regulation
it in
on us,
Auroras.
and then like there'll be some respite for all the bobs as we try to re-up the coffers for the next hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm sure you'll
Min-max.
also hear people say like, "Oh, you might have killed 3,000 of us, but you spent 40 million." Like as copium as they're shuttling out of the
Yeah.
med
Hey
bay.
man, if you're an org that's able to output 40 million and just keep going like that, sheesh.
Yeah.
Right.
I was gonna
Yeah.
ask,
Got to
do you
figure
guys
out how to min-max your fights. I'm sorry. Go
do you
ahead.
guys want to take some like live callers? I was just
Yeah,
gonna
let's do
double
it.
check on that.
Sure.
Okay. So we had it looks like Torch Nova in the lobby, so I'm gonna drag them in. I'm gonna see if they're there. Torch Nova, welcome on in. Do you have any questions for us tonight?
Hello.
All right.
Hey,
Hello?
what's up, Torch?
Yo, what up?
What's up, man?
Not much. I just got back from a car show. Just thought I'd pop by.
You have any
So you guys were
questions?
talking about base building stuff, right?
What the? There it is. The
Hey.
door was open, so I walked in. No, I'm just-
I'm
Yeah,
just going to
so-
click on this channel.
So we're talking about base building, right? So
org
Yeah.
stuff,
I guess my question is since it's geez, sorry, my daughter's in the same room.
It's okay.
Since we're kind of far away from when that's actually going to end the game, or because they say within the next year, but then it's like again they just postponed Squadron 42, right? So we could see it in 2 years for all we know. So what
Mhm.
because I lead the Grey Wardens, right? So as an org leader, are we just preparing for Zergness? Because it feels like the bigger org you are, the more capable you are when
It
it
feels
comes
that
to
way,
base building.
honestly.
Is
It
it
I
going to
don't
be
really
the
know.
same issues? Is it going to be the same
Yes.
issues that like WoW faces with like large Zerg or
I don't know,
guilds
man.
taking over?
Dude, I mean, even the panel that we talked about earlier, like just
Mhm.
after this or just before this, I mean, we don't even know if that's the way the game is gonna go. Like you guys
It's
just
a lot
went
of
off theory
crafting, yeah.
crafting, but we honestly
Yeah.
don't know if that's what's gonna happen. I mean,
Right.
I think
mean-
Zergs are gonna dominate the big like flagship PvP stuff,
dude,
like
I don't
like the
believe it.
station like the station battles. But I
Well, there
think
is going to
that
be some stuff. Yeah, I think so too.
yeah I think that that orgs will definitely be able to have their own little ramshackle villages and cut out a little slice.
I don't.
Well, I think
of
so.
Of game loop.
Yeah, I think that personally, I think that there's going to be kind of like with with the way the game's being set up, there's also going to be room for these like infiltration type orgs where like people may be able to kind of like get into a base and take resources quietly. I think that will be a thing too.
There's going to be orgs that are completely fucking nomadic and just have a fleet of pioneers just manufacturing their ships for them.
Yeah, it really
Like, on the
depends on
fly.
which aspect of the game you're thinking of, right? If
You
you're
know?
thinking you want to compete with another org for what specifically? Because if it's like for owning a specific territory that a big org already may have, yeah, maybe a Zerg org is probably where you want to go. But I think it just depends. It depends on what you're looking at.
I don't think we're there yet, and I think it's gonna be like probably
Years
2
down the
years
line,
till we
maybe.
get there. Yeah.
The thing is,
Yeah,
though,
so
is like
so I don't care about it right now. To be honest with you, I just want to be the best right now.
You know,
Yeah, adapt
there's
how
some
it goes.
wisdom in that. There's play the game
Yeah.
as we have it now and build your structure for what we're doing now.
Yeah,
Because it's easy
you
to
need
get
to be
into the theory
adaptable.
crafting. Exactly. It's easy to
100%,
get into
yeah.
theory crafting, look too far ahead, and build your org in a way that makes no sense right now.
Yeah, I mean, dude, look at Vanguard right now.
I don't think it's too unreasonable to assume that Zergs are going to dominate some aspect of the game.
Oh no,
Yeah,
actually, I agree
maybe,
with you on
yeah.
that.
Maybe like
But
resource gathering, but
like
like
we're saying,
dude,
you
you
need
put
to
10
be-
people in comms, more than 10 people
Yeah.
in comms in a fight, and it's just a fucking madhouse.
Well,
You know,
yeah, that's Discord for
Well, it
you.
depends. It depends on how disciplined your people are. Like if you
Yeah.
talk efficiently and you have a set up structure.
No,
like, you
Yeah,
can
but even
get
that
some-
only
but
goes
like
so
we're talking
far.
Bob orgs,
Yeah.
bro. Like we're
No,
talking
yeah,
like
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like dude, it would be just a clusterfuck.
What they do
Like
is they
all
mute
these
everyone,
divisions together, trying to do things to maximize. It'll be a clusterfuck. I don't think we're gonna get to the large scale that we're talking about until like 2 years. You know.
Oh, it's
Um,
definitely.
If
Oh,
not
I don't
more.
think
Well, I
I don't
keep
think we're going to
saying,
get there in 4 years.
I don't
So-
think we're gonna get there because World War III is gonna hit first.
But I
so.
think we're gonna get there in a small scale of sorts. You know, because
We're getting small scale next year in Pyro. That's what we're
Yeah,
getting.
and it should be real interesting.
I do think it's going to be hard to neglect that numbers are going to be very important as the game
Mhm.
develops.
I mean, just look at how much Master Modes lends to that. And
Mhm.
even look at how, like, being adaptive is what we need to do. Look at what happened with Master Modes when that dropped. And half of, like, say the PvPers that were ace pilots just dropped off because they lost interest in
Mhm.
because of the fight model. They didn't want to adapt.
You also have to consider too, the need for the size of the base, resources, like the amount of resources. It all scales with the size of the org, right? So if I have like a little tiny like shack of a base because I have like 5 guys in my org, right?
Mhm.
And then you decide you want to expand, then yeah, you do need a larger org. If you decide you want a larger base, right? So it's going to kind of scale together also, right? It's not as if like to exist, I need a 2,000 person org. Like that's not necessarily true. Obviously.
I mean, but we'll see. Like is it's all
So-
about min maxing, dude. If you can min max, like for PvP groups, like if you can min max, if you don't need a base and you can still min max, then PvP orgs are not going to fucking build bases unless they want
Right,
to
so
RP. You know, we just
Why
don't
not,
fucking
dude?
know.
Why not? What's
El-
wrong with having a base? Like that's enjoyable, dude. That's cool.
Elders
Well,
Alarp,
so
confirmed.
Elephant.
Like what the hell is wrong with that?
So the
Like,
one way I
merchant.
see it going for PvP groups that want to continue only doing ship fighting
Mhm.
is alliance structures. One way or another, they're going to find that they're going to need that sort of industry backing one way or another. And so either they're going to attach themselves to alliance or build their own alliances.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
fielded my questions on how alliances look earlier, but at the end of the day, I think numbers are how this game is going to be played, and whether either you develop the numbers yourself or you get into an alliance that provides those numbers.
Yeah, River, I'm capping that you're not going to want the fucking best components for you and your squad.
Yo,
that's
I do.
part of it too, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
part of
Like,
it. They are
so that's
designing
like-
it where you
Like
need
you
something
either
to be
you
figuring
either
out.
you either get that shit yourself or you need a revenue stream.
Or you need to
we
steal
can
from
take
Or
somebody
you
else.
trade for it.
Oh
you
my
know?
god!
You can take it.
Do we have
Or I
anything
can
else
take
it. Or
from,
you could take
from
it,
Torch?
yeah.
By the way, we have anything else from Torch?
Sorry about that. Yeah, I get a little.
Yeah, we get carried away.
And we got Wux
No, I
in,
was just
in the waiting
listening
room.
We
in.
do have.
Yeah.
What was
Yeah,
your
do you
favorite
mind-
thing?
I was
What was
gonna
your favorite
say,
thing in Citizen Con Torch? What'd you like?
My favorite thing, dude. I'm not gonna lie. I just kept fast forwarding because I was just getting bored. I think Pico was my favorite thing during the fucking the
You're fired.
costume contest or whatever.
Torch,
Gotcha.
you
I mean,
just told me about how your favorite thing was the turret 2005 Chuck E. Cheese turret gameplay for Squadron 42.
Yeah, that was
Well,
kind of that
Pretty
made me
much,
sad there.
that was painful. I'm not gonna lie. That was pretty painful. They're almost 800 million in and crashes live
Yep.
3 times. I think it
Hey,
did
at
for
least we know
sure
it's
2 times,
live.
but I think it did again.
At least we know it's live. You know.
I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, at
I'm
least
not
we
like,
know it's live, right?
I'm not super critical about that because it's like
Mhm.
finished so-called finished games crash like that now. I mean, I understand how
Sure.
much money they're in, but I think the money that they're into it's a bit different from like the
I don't
regular.
really care about the crashes. I just thought the turret stuff was a little goofy.
They definitely hyped this
Mhm.
one
Yeah.
up a little too much. Like they said, this was the one that you shouldn't miss, and I'm starting to see it's kind of missable. No offense, I apologize
Yeah.
for everyone who
I think-
went.
No,
I
100%.
wanted
yeah.
to go to meet some of the friends that I have, like there for sure, and like be there. But I'm happy to go to maybe the next one. We'll see. But yeah, I just wasn't impressed. I wasn't. The hype wasn't
Underwhelming.
as what it was. Yeah,
Underwhelming is
exactly.
a good word.
I'm
to use.
happy some of the things that they're building or the things that they're saying they're going because I think it's going to improve the game. It's going to
Yeah,
bring
but
us to a better
it should
game
have
state.
been there already.
Yeah,
I mean,
true.
honestly, I'm just happy because it seems like it's like okay, we're finally getting the things that we actually need, and you're not
Mhm.
just giving us fucking. Hey, here's 3 new star systems the next
I
year.
know,
Like,
yeah, dude, it
yeah,
is a
it's-
relief.
you're not
Yeah.
overpromised. I'm
So-
glad that we weren't overpromised because it doesn't feel like we're overpromised with the majority of the stuff.
No,
It felt
yeah,
like
I
it was a little
agree.
bit
That's
more
fair.
I
grounded
agree with
because
that.
we have like
Just
a
super.
better
I'm just super
directive
happy they
for, like,
have
the
a
PU.
fucking. They put to words a framework for the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
100%.
because before day 2, we were kind of just sitting there like, well, we're getting pyro, but then like, what are we gonna do with the game though? Like,
Yeah.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'd still play it.
If it
I'm
was
just-
just Stan, but they implemented all of the things they showed us, I'd be happy with that even because it would be
Yes,
a
dude.
lot more content
100%.
than somebody
Yes.
made a funny response during the sitcon where they said, "When is CIG gonna get the point that rain isn't gameplay?" Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Rain
It's
is
true.
At that point,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hey,
Good talk.
I like the lightning. Okay, it was cool.
I mean, it's cool, but it's not gameplay. I'm sorry. Is there anything
right.
else, Torch, before we pull in the next guy?
So actually, I just thought about it because they were talking about how like there are certain areas on these planets like Nyx or like in the solar systems. Nyx, for
Mhm.
example, they said there was an area on planets that are forever forecasted with fucking like lightning and stuff. So what I was thinking, like even if you are a small org and don't have a ton of resources, you could use the environment, right? You could use
Mhm.
the environment to actually act as your little shield because obviously they said that some of these are only accessible from ground because obviously they saw in the video lightning strike that world of death, bro. It was gone. And the Zeus was ready to hold with one strike. So
No, you're right. They've talked about using the environment in the past, asteroids to hide ships, bigger ships to hide
That's true.
smaller ships.
Yeah, which I think would be cool.
All right.
would be
I just
cool.
picture
Other than
a
that, I don't
swarm
really
of
have
I just
anything
picture
else.
a swarm of griefers going through a thundercloud.
Dude,
Oh,
make
good to see
clip
you,
that,
George.
clip that, because I want that in my Discord as a soundboard.
I'll do that. All right. I'm gonna say Torch Nova. Thank you very much for your call.
Thanks, brother.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, buddy.
Take it easy, man. All right. I'm gonna drag in Wux Street. Hey, what's up, Wux? How you doing?
What's good, Wux?
Hey, gents, I'm not too bad, thanks. Am I coming through all right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
fine.
All right, good. Yeah, because I had some sound issues before. So I don't know if I got necessarily a question per se, as some of the things that I think that we're not thinking about, gentlemen, is
Mhm.
we have been playing an arbitrary game. The money is arbitrary. The ships are arbitrary. The functions and the roles and stuff like that we play are arbitrary.
Mm-hmm.
Every time they drop a patch, we go, dude, this is underwhelming. This is bullshit. They haven't added anything. But behind the scenes, they've been building this mechanism. And River hit on it earlier when he was talking about the economy. So one of the things that I don't think we think about is because you either go, hey, I'm a PvP or I do PvP shit, right? I'm a Bob. I do Bob shit. I'm a miner. I'm a solo player. We're going to have to drop these conceptions because we're completely going to miss the plot. Because the whole thing is CIG has been building an MMORPG and we've been playing our own game. So
that's a good point of view.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
I mean, it's a sandbox. Part of it is you play your own game.
Yeah.
I think I have a prediction that kind of agrees with that, Wux Tree. is I think the Bob is going to die. And what I mean by that is our terminology of calling people Bobs is completely going to change, because right now we use that to describe someone who's mostly worthless. But coming soon, we're going to need people who may not be the best pilots in the world, but man, they sure do like to sit there and push that button on that resource gatherer. Or
And
the
we're going to call them
Navcraft things.
Bobs.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you want to,
So
create a
if the game
subclass in
goes
your
that
own org
direction,
or
yeah.
alliance, yeah.
So with this being the foundational statement, my point being is, I think we should start paying attention to what they're showing us, because it's one of those things where they're building all this shit without our knowledge. We're making judgments, expectations, we're doing our theory crafting, and they're doing all this stuff without us thinking about it, and we're making like all these decisions. Part of this stuff, and this is in River was sitting on it earlier, and so was Eld, was like, dude, this is going to be about relationships. Because when you start taking a look at all of the people who do stuff, and you have players come, you have players go, the biggest part is, if you don't have these relationships in place, you guys were talking about how Bobs don't pay attention to PvP orgs. How much PvP orgs do they pay attention to Bobs? Nobody knows, like who's doing what. I think our entire perspective of this game is going to have to change, because this is about to go from arbitrary to actually mattering.
Agreed.
Could be.
I think the only PvP
can't
org that
wait.
really pays attention to Bobs is probably Griffith.net.
We don't know anything about any Bob orgs.
I thought you
Oh,
guys were
you guys
mid
are the
runners.
best.
I mean,
Come
it's a
on.
good point. Yeah, I agree. It's
Yeah, I can't wait for things to matter. Like, I
it's the
mean,
same way
we
both
can
ways.
we can stop
Yep.
playing the game that we've all just been goofing around in and start playing the real game that matters, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that's
Right.
what I've been waiting for. Honestly, it's like, yeah, you're right. I do agree with most of that, because it's right now. It's just like we're just trying to pass time, waiting for the
I don't know.
actual
I'm just-
game.
Fuck, man. I do not want to fucking sit and press a button or anything like that. I want to log on to the game and I just want to fight people, and that's it. And
See,
I have to figure out a way to
I think
accomplish
that's going to
that.
change. That's going to
But
change. Yeah, we're
River,
gonna have to adapt.
you're not going to have to, because all those guys who want to go punch buttons know who to go to when they need protection.
Yeah.
They need to get XYZ resource. They have to go to XYZ system. They're not going to be able to protect their ass. I mean, hell, how many times have I called in a fucking river strike on a couple of situations because
was
my guys
fun.
were overwhelmed?
Yeah. Absolutely. Hell
So
yeah.
you don't need to be the best at everything. You need to be the best at what you do.
That's what I'm
and then
saying.
Network
So
to everybody
Agreed.
else.
that's like what my whiteboard was pretty much saying. It's like, yo, like I don't think these orgs. I see a lot of orgs trying to like recruit different divisions and like be like, hey, we're
Yeah,
just
well-
gonna do everything because we're the best. Like I don't see that working out.
Yeah,
I
because
see
what ends up happening is
specialized groups.
you
like-
saturate your skill, or you spread it too thinly. And
There's a
then at
difference.
that point, there's a problem, right? Like people want to be the best miners and PvPers or something. It doesn't make sense.
There's a difference with, like, yeah, Elder, you're totally right. Like, you know, you don't want to just expand to the point and be like, okay, we want to be the best miners and the best PvPers, because those things typically conflict with individual skill set. But there's a difference when you are leading an organization and you're trying to do everything. You're building the structures out and you put suboptimal people in charge, or you're allowing people to do the gameplay they like. So if there's an individual who wants to do it, why not? You know,
So-
if they're in your group and they fit your culture, why not let them go do the thing?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
So if I may, I'm the leader of my organization. Part of the whole thing that we do is we're not an organization, we're a dive bar. So tonight we might go hunting players. Tomorrow we might go mining. The other night we fucking watched Step Brothers, right?
Yeah.
What we were doing is we were a group of people who give you somebody to play with, right?
I can
Sometimes-
confirm because Wuxazor was the first people that I met in the game. Actually, I don't know if you guys knew that.
Yeah. I didn't know that actually. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, and part of the whole thing is what we make up for in our inability to say 1v1 folks, we made up with our ability in organization. An organization is really, really simple when you understand that nobody is main character, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you're a group of friends and you guys go out to a bar or whatever, is there one dude fucking directing the whole entire conversation? No, it's a communication. It's back and forth.
Yeah.
That's what your orgs have to be. And if you have that kind of communication, you're going to attract those people that do what you do. So, and I've probably spammed it in the fucking chat, but dude, what this is coming down to is the relationships are going to be everything.
I agree. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I could see that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Elder. Sorry.
No. Please, it's on topic. Go ahead, please. I'm off.
Oh, I just have a half-baked response because I'm trying to follow. But yeah, no, I think relationships, especially relationships between org leaders and other org leaders, making that like external relationship really matter.
Yeah.
I think you're really onto something. Earlier you said we've all been playing our own game, but not necessarily the game that's being built. I think a really good example, and I don't mean to bash on anybody, but a really good example of how the community has failed in doing that and where we tried to continue to play our own game is in the inactivity of the PvP community at large right now. Is they keep trying to play a specific way, dogfight a specific way, and only do dogfighting when the game is very much going in a different direction, more team fighting, more industry at length. So I think you're right. I think there's evidence for that.
Yeah, but we got to be fair in that. I understand what you're saying, but we got to be fair in it too. Like the game was a different game. And what they did was basically pull it out from under you and change it, and then a lot. So the most optimal way to play the game just completely changed. So it's understandable why that happened, right? Because we're playing the current game that we have.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's very frustrating that happened in the first place, but people didn't adapt to it. They wanted to play a different game than
I think honestly the old gameplay was all about glorifying self and look at me, I'm the best. I think it was a very self-serving. Yeah, I think the way that it was basically a dogfighting setup.
Bro, that's why PvP orgs are dead right now.
Yeah, because people were all about themselves and how they looked, and they weren't about the
main
whole
character
team.
syndrome.
Which is fine. I'm not
main character syndrome, exactly. So
I think it's fine because you're grinding, and they want to grind to get to a certain place, and that's fine. That's a mini game for them. There's nothing wrong about that, you know.
Yeah,
but it's an MMO,
and you're right.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
And that's huge because you need that guy. You need that that really good pilot, right? So like when we're dealing with like incidents where we have folks come in and mess with us, we send out drunk doms. And if you guys never met drunk doms is amazing. Please do not fight him when he's sober because you're going to wipe him out, right? We have that guy. And if we don't have that guy, then we call in. But the point being is that play your own game, but just understand on the back end that there's a lot of connective tissue to this stuff. And it all comes back to that economy because you're not going to be able, well, maybe the folks who are, because I didn't really get a full clear picture of how this thing works. And I'm big on trend analysis, so forgive me. If you have insurance or if you have a pledge ship or something like that, there might be some line of demarcation as to like how long it takes or whatever. But when this game's released and you have these people, they wreck their ship, they have the only ship, they have to wait for materials or whatever, right? When you have all of these people who specialize in like all of this stuff, you can still go play that game, but just understand on the back end, it's about to go from non-arbitrary, from like being arbitrary to non-arbitrary.
Yeah.
I agree. Go ahead. Sorry. I keep stepping on you. It's your turn.
I was going to say I would almost like replace that word arbitrary with like placeholder. Because like what we have right now is placeholder, not necessarily.
Yeah, the whole game's been a placeholder basically. We had how many placeholder
you were going to say
models?
Something though, and I probably
no, I was going to say honestly, I don't feel like there's a whole lot of loss to lose the main characters that we did. By the way, I'm just saying.
If an economy's coming in, if the argument is that things are going to be more meaningful, then obviously, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I agree.
I think he's saying that it's going to encompass more different types of people and different types of players.
Right.
Yeah, like Bobs are going to have to get used to shooting players. Miners are going to have to get used to dealing with themselves. Your solo players are going to have to find people to interact with because they're going to have to, if they want to easily sell their goods or if they want to make sure that they can get out of the system. Like we're all going to have to change the way we look at this.
I agree, and it's the way that I run Iron Point. Is everybody in Iron Point is a generalist, very good at specific things if they want to focus on that, and I try my best to get them to that point. But coming in as you make those first steps into the org, you learn a broad spectrum of skills so that we can trust you no matter where you're at. Now, I don't know if this is going to work at large. CIG keeps trying to push everybody into specialization. I don't think that's going to be how this game works, but we'll see.
I just want to jump in here. A couple of things just for Harold, just so you know, we actually are able to filter through and see all the questions and go back over them. So it doesn't.
We'll
even
be
though
addressing
it's,
those after. Yep. We'll be
yeah.
addressing
So even
those
though it's
after
pushed
the,
off of the
next
chat,
call.
we're still able to go back and address those. Also, Walktree, I don't know if you had any last comments before we move to the next caller.
None other than the obligatory long-time listener, first-time caller, and you know, I'll
Hell yeah.
You know, people who know me know I have side projects, so by all means.
What's your org?
So I'm with the Irregulars.
Okay.
Okay.
What other side projects do you have, by the way? Can you tell me about that?
Well, I wasn't going to come on here and like start pimping clip of the day, but I'm the
Yeah.
editor.
I'm asking, man.
he does clip of the
I mean,
day.
I like your style here.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So
yeah.
that's how most
popular.
people know me. And I was doing an audio test about a week ago.
Yeah.
And somebody suggested, hey, why don't you stream to Twitch to see if your audio is coming through there. I did, and I got rated, and now I'm like 3 streams from affiliate. But so if you guys see me on, or if you guys checked out my go to sleep stream last night, I think Griefer Pub was there last night. But by all means, hit us up on the Discord. Since I took over clip of the day, we've been inputting in more and more PvP because before it was seen as a like a smacking down
Taboo.
or a
It was a taboo. It was taboo.
Yeah.
Taboo.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience, though. Each time you win, lose, whatever.
My purpose of this was to I'm not going to take CIG side. I'm not going to take the player side. I want to show the game as it is right now. So I try not to use any. I try not to use any clips over a week, and as long as it's not like absolutely, belittling, a neurodivergent hamster nun with gas all over them or something, like, as long as it's not anything truly offensive, dude, I'll use it. I've put packs in. I've put I put Evil Betty in. And then we had Major Boomer in like last time. The whole thing is just like context, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
You're going to run into people. Some of them are going to be aggressive.
That's the best part about
Some of them are going to run.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Yeah. Thanks for coming.
Always a pleasure.
I have a cup for the next guest that we're gonna have on here.
Oh
Speaker.
my god. All right.
Yeah, I'm good for you to pull.
Thank you, Wax. We'll catch you later. Okay, bud. Thanks for the call. Hang on. I didn't mean to cut you off. Too late.
What a piece of
what an asshole. All right. Hello, Virgil. Are you there? Welcome, Virgil. I don't know if he's there.
Hey.
Oh,
Hello.
he probably walked away.
I think he may have walked away.
He's probably spying right now.
Okay. I think he's yelling from the background because he lit up.
Yeah, we can hear him.
You guys can hear him?
Yep.
Yeah.
We can hear him.
Oh, wait. Oh,
he's
yeah. I remember that. I was gonna say like you were muted
why.
for me, and I was just like, wait, why don't I hear Virgil right now?
Yeah,
but we're good. We're good.
yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah,
what's up,
just
man?
make sure
Hey, what's up, man?
that.
Welcome on in.
Yeah, but how good was that, right? Like, man, like today was just massive copium. Like,
hell
was,
yeah.
It's funny. Like we always, Esper especially always like shits on CIG Giga hard all the time. And then today they do like a 3-hour demonstration where they tell, like if you like PvE and stuff, you get high sec and you get a couple of instances, and then but if you're into PvP, and they spend like 90% of the rest of the presentation on all the shit we get.
So can I just say, Virgil, when I was watching, because I went over and watched, today's broadcast or whatever. And when they mentioned about like the high and low security, it immediately made me think of the last time you were with us and you were mentioning like basically like Nix is like going to be the low sec system that it's basically going to be all out war from what I can tell. And it just made me think of what you were saying. Like they just need to do that, right? You need the high sec, you need the low sec.
Yeah.
Also to know, I'm glad they kind of, pulled back and said, "Hey, all right, we're not going to launch 100 systems. We're launching 5. I think it's 5, right?"
Yeah,
Like,
I think that 5 to 1.0 is what I picked up.
I'm fine with that because of the amount of content in each system can be massive. So I'm not even concerned about it.
I will say this every time: I would rather have substance over like volume. Like less like bloat and more actual like content to like go after. So
we got to take into account too, like we won every battle there. Like that was as good a net result for what this game is going to become than we could have possibly asked. Like you were never going to get an inch more than that, and they gave everything we wanted. Right? Like,
Yeah,
is there anyone here that is thinking we didn't get anything? Like, like the PvE guys got instances that they can do stuff and probably not get messed around with. So be it. They get their ground, right? Like, and then they get high sec. They get to do their stations, which is protected by shields, and they don't have to worry about PvP, which keeps them interested in the game. And then all us PvPers get to absolutely duke it out in our section, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah,
man, it's like it's crazy how good that was. Like we were all just like, it's just like reality. Like, how is this actually happening? They're making a fucking all PvP game. Like, how is this happening?
Do you think that's
but
because
yeah,
we
man.
have a new like director kind of
Yeah.
leading?
Oh gosh, yeah. I think it's
Like,
Rich, Tyra, 100%.
It is Rich, yeah, 100%.
And you got, and like, if you know the people in that office, it's like Zach, it's like Bunton. Like you guys all know DJ Bunton. Like they're all from Eve backgrounds. They are for sure talking in his ear. Eve works this way. Eve works that way. So
Make sure-
it's those guys talking at lunch breaks. That's probably the reason we all have this. Yeah. And
well, it's good. It's definitely good the way they're going. Like, it's definitely something we want to see. Obviously, we'd love to see it tomorrow, but it takes time, right? With the complexity
apparently,
of the game.
I'll throw you guys something. Our guys were talking to them in person, and they're talking about bases being in 4.1, like early next year, like early. So
wow.
take that how you want it, but
I was
actually
a lot
that was-
sooner than people think.
That was one of my
remember-
questions. Was like, when is that all coming in? So it's good to know that that's literally sooner than later.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Didn't they tell us,
like, and that
Pyro,
might
like,
be the
last
ground
summer, though,
bases. Like, I don't know if that's. It's probably not the stations. It's probably the ground.
I don't
bases,
expect the stations for a long time.
Yeah, same. But even ground bases is enough for me. I mean, that'd be so much content.
My goodness, Shankus, thank you. Holy crap.
I just don't know how they're gonna implement the bases with the shards. Like, if the bases
I don't either,
exist
dude.
through the shards. Like, I'm so confused on that.
I don't think anybody's thinking about that, because like how is it going to be? I don't get it.
I think that's more of a technical question. I'm not so concerned about it because by the time we get it, it'll be answered.
I would think like, oh yeah, that's a good question. I have no idea either. I'm not even gonna theory crap.
I'm sure they'll find a answer.
They'll choose something, right? They'll pick something to do.
Fair enough. Something will be done.
It's good though. Like we'll have skin in the game. Alliances and stuff. Like, Thunder Lake can attest to this. We've been dealing with alliance shit in another game. Me and Thunder Lake have been playing this month. By the way, Thunder Lake, I'm pretty sure we're getting kicked out of the alliance now. But
Not if I have anything to do with it.
I think our guy, we're all getting kicked out now.
God damn,
actually, right now.
Drama already and thrown in Liberty.
We're not pulling our weight.
Talking
Is
about
the
throwing
problem?
Liberty.
We're not pulling our weight.
Oh yeah, well, we'll fight them in the Riftstone or whatever. The
I
thing
thought you
is,
guys
though,
were
is
talking
like
about Minecraft.
Yeah, the alliances situation, like what they're putting in the game of Star Citizen. I can't wait to see that in Star Citizen. It's going to be interesting. It's going to make things matter because relationships are going to matter, and who you can bring to the table, what you can bring, what strategies you deploy is going to be super interesting because it's going to be different amongst every different group, right?
Yeah.
Even though that there's probably one, meta way to do it, there's might be something that counters that. Who knows?
It'll be good too because you can like actually inflict pain on each other's like groups and stuff. Like now
That's
that
what
we've
I was
got
saying,
skin
yeah.
in the game, like I'll tell you right now, like like of course we're going straight for the AVS base the moment they drop that. Like, they can't exit the menu on us this time.
Now,
So,
can
Back to Pyro.
bases backstrafe? I wonder.
yeah, something like
Sorry.
that.
Yeesh.
But no,
yeah, I
like,
mean, yeah,
it'll be good.
This is what I was talking about a while ago. Well, I've actually mentioned it a lot, but like having the ability to go for like supply chains and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I know.
My question is, how are you gonna find them? Like, with these like we don't know how server meshing is gonna work. So like, how are you gonna find them?
I think
yeah.
The problem is well, I guess not the problem, but the way it'll work, right, is you'll want to go to the best biomes. So the stronger groups, stronger alliances control the best biome. So like you'll be able to find it that way. Like unless
but like
people are hiding
specific
bases.
people. I mean, like specific groups.
That's going to be
you can
a
hear
matter
from
of
other
like
people too.
infiltration, OPSEC.
Yeah,
That's where that
it's
comes
gonna
into
have
play.
to be infiltration. And this is the stuff that like I feel like CIG is so soft on, and then all of a sudden they had Sitcon. It's like, oh, KOS is like infiltration.
Let's just change
what
our
the fuck?
entire tone. Like, what the hell?
I know.
So I apologize to leave on you guys. I have to go put my kids to bed. But thank you for inviting me to tonight's
absolutely.
chat.
Yeah, dude,
Doc,
thanks
thank
for
you so much for
joining.
joining, man.
Yeah, I'm
Appreciate
gonna
your
try to
insight
pop
behind
in
it.
as a guest more often if I can, like Pumpkin and
Absolutely,
Virgil and
man.
all the other guys. That seems like a lot of fun. But thanks for having me. You guys have a great night.
Thank you, Doc.
Take it easy, Doc.
I'm
Yeah,
actually
Doc.
going to take this opportunity to leave too. I got to get up in the morning for work tomorrow morning. So
Wait,
See you,
Esper
sir.
has a job? What?
Yeah.
yeah,
Thought it was griefing only.
I couldn't stay unemployed forever, guys.
Here's
hear he
a
works-
quick question before you
Dreamer,
leave.
bro,
Like,
back
are you
up.
planning to be playing when this drops?
Am I planning to be playing when the bases
Yeah,
drop?
because like, are you now reconsidering decisions you guys are making now that the game is looking like it is quickly becoming what you want it to?
That's a good question.
Where you
Yeah,
guys are
yeah,
at
it's
with
going
the
to inform our
moderation.
decision making.
Like, are you guys going to start behaving now, or like, what's going to be the story?
We've always behaved, Virgil.
Yeah, but like, let's be real. Like, you guys are probably like 2 months out from all being gone. So like, I was just wondering if
Hey,
now
can we
that
do
this is
like a
becoming
Reddit
what
remind me thing set up for that?
Let's be
Oh,
fair.
God.
On their mains are about
Yeah, but
2
the
months for
problem is,
bases.
I
though,
think-
right? Like
Well,
when
I
this
think what-
comes in, these bases don't go up in a day, right?
Yo,
Like,
so I think what
imagine-
Virgil's trying to say is like, yo, if you shitting on enough Bob orgs, right, and then like
get a promo
Griefernet,
again?
with one of the best things
Yeah,
about
like, are
Griefernet
you-
right now is you can't fight them because they'll just log off the server, right? Like we were trying to jump down the one time, and
Yeah,
then like
get blue
before we
ball.
got there, we just got blue balls,
Yeah.
So like that's the best thing about. But now with bases, like if that is your source of income and stuff like that, and that's how you
That's
can't
where the
run.
value is.
Like that's
Yep.
you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah, like
if you're hitting,
like if,
I think
for
that's what you're
example,
trying to say.
if Esfer eats a ban, but he also controls the station. Like I guess my point is like Esfer, you and me have seen eye to eye on majority of what we want the game to become. You and me, I'm assuming you are very happy with the new direction now. But where we're different is I'm not trying to speedrun a ban. So like,
Virgil, we're getting banned because we're doing the base rating before the bases were here. That's it.
yeah, exactly. But I'm just saying, like, is that the like? Are you gonna keep going the same path, or because at this rate, like, you'll be banned before it finally gets good?
I mean, are we gonna continue attacking people? Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
The thing
That's
is,
good.
though, is
Question.
in CIG's panel, they actually confirmed alts. Like, they literally had a party
Yeah.
system with
Dude,
notes
that
on there
surprised me.
to basically be
Mhm.
like Jumbin's alt or something. So, like, they
Blew me
Yeah.
away when they
I was
said
like,
that. I
what,
was like,
dude?
what the fuck?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Wait, what was
I
that?
think-
What was that?
in the party system, they had a note
Yep.
system. So, like, you could write a note on someone, like, this guy
yeah.
pad ram me, this guy, whatever, and then, like, my friend's alt. So, like, it's
well,
very
yeah, but
interesting.
they have to know that that's the alt first to write the note, right?
Yeah, of course, but like they basically
They acknowledged it.
okayed alts like being used and everything like that, which I obviously think they're fine with.
Yep.
But typically, like with the whole Death of the Spaceman thing, I would think they would prefer people to be their one individual. Like, you know, you own your one account. You're just
I don't think they. I don't think Death of the Spaceman's ever gonna come out. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
I think I don't know. Death of the Spaceman. I'm kind of with River. I think it's just kind of
maybe 1.0, but like there's way too
I
many
think
bugs
it's a
in the
scare
game.
tactic to like invest into like LTI in the first place. You know, like it's
Buy
insurance.
more
Did they
LTA,
say
guys.
Death of the
It's
I
gonna
Spaceship,
be
though?
I don't. I
fortified.
think it's just gonna.
I
I
don't
think
know.
it's just gonna. It's just a renamed respawn mechanic, really. You know what
Pretty
I mean?
much,
Like,
yeah.
it's-
I don't think it's as like advanced as they're like making it out to be.
Well,
I do
what
agree with that.
what they were saying too is like they're like, okay, these blueprints are for this character only. So they might have multiple characters on that one account. I don't know. Who fucking knows?
So I'm wondering if
Okay.
you guys would be cool with us just pulling Pumpkin in as everything stands right now, and then we'll have him as the last caller.
I gotta veto that. I hate Pumpkin. Also, I gotta go, guys.
You don't even know
All
who
right,
he
we'll
is.
catch you
Go
later.
away.
See you,
Take care.
Spur.
Later, man.
Do we have any
good.
other like people in
Good night.
chat that like want to hop on and say something though? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'll post that really quick. If you guys want to hop into the Discord, pop in and just head to the waiting room. We're taking callers. So I'm gonna Dragon Pumpkin.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to wrap it up soon because I'm getting tired.
Yeah,
so
that's
that's
fair.
why I was saying, like, if there's anybody else kind of jump in now, but I want to pull Pumpkin in. I don't want him to miss this opportunity. Also.
Yep. Hey, Pumpkin, welcome on in. You had a question?
Oh, hello. First off, Elder, you sound fantastic with that new mic. It's
Oh, shut up.
Hey, where'd you get?
He
Where
was
did
there
you
when
get
I was
that
trying
new
to
mic?
figure it
Where
out.
Where did you get that? That's a nice mic. That's a good mic. Good job.
I don't know. I'm not that impressed. I kind of like USB mics.
Shut your mouth.
My view as your go-to button pusher and Bob for your org. With base building, you think it's going to be worth it to invest more to get like a? Now this is probably going like further down the line into theory crafting, but like, say you got data or information, or somebody found a system with no infrastructure, buildings, but like the holy grail of like mineable planets. You think it's going to be worth the effort to build like a small pirate outpost for repairs and storing goods versus like sending a small fleet over there every now and then with refuel ships, repair ships, and stuff like that?
It depends on how much they make it cost, right? Like, if it's worthwhile to put your shit in like a little shed somewhere, like Rust or whatever, while you're raiding a base, so that way you can go and grab your ship from across the system to pick it up or call your organ. Yeah, people are going to do it. But if it's like a waste of time and you're not going to stay there long, then they're just going to.
I don't think CIG's ever going to make a holy grail. I just don't see it. They've never done anything to prove to me that they'd make a planet that's the holy grail. I mean,
well, yeah, but that's obviously like an extreme case. But like
Yeah.
if it was like you found like 2 or 3 planets that like, hey, every rock I find here has a lot of quantanium or something like that. And it's like,
it's just like everything that I've seen so far. It's like they'll maybe come out with like a hot trading route or something like that, and or maybe Yellow will be, or no, what is it? The place in Arcorp, Lyria is like the the hot place for Quantanium, right? And then like next thing you know, it switches, and I don't know. I'm just not sold on it. Like
yeah, I feel like with the ult, you can almost have like an ult or two camped out there and be like, hey, I'm gonna hop on this ult and scout out this area versus having to fly all the way across.
I think scouting. I think yeah, that's a great topic. I'm glad you brought it up because I think scouting is actually going to be like a viable like activity.
Profession.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with that for sure. I think so.
Yeah. And then on
Sorry,
like what was it? The like orgs having like divisions. I think if an org tries too hard with the division and like tries to have like certain like training and all that specifically for them, it gets a little exhausting and annoying and hard to.
Well, I think with that, I think River's example of using Vanguard is perfect. Honestly,
it just doesn't
because
work.
it's like way too saturated, and like there's just too much going on,
There's
many
no common goal.
parts. Yeah, and it's like they trying to create all these separate divisions for every little different thing you do. You know what I mean? Like it just it does. It's
dude.
that
Half
and
of
that,
those things I mentioned could be PvPers. Like just looking at
literally. That's
PvP as an example.
exactly.
Like,
so I think it is way too. It's way too watered down the way they're doing it.
But
I think like generalized, maybe like specialty or not specialties, but like
Specialization.
specialization maybe, but not like not for every single thing you're doing. Like that's just too much,
Sure.
and you got way too many clicks in that situation. I think that's probably just a bit much, personally.
yeah,
because like when I was with you guys in Grim 42 was like I suck at PvP dogfights. I suck at like Dingo tried to teach me some things, and I was like, nope, I'll just stick to ground stuff and my cargo hauling and mining and stuff.
is that
So
the guy
whenever
that
you guys,
kicked from the Discord like 17 times?
Dingo, yeah.
Because he probably pressed the wrong button. Like that makes sense.
and
Mhm.
like during like all like the drug bugs and like the drug wars of Stanton a couple patches ago, whenever you guys were doing your pirating and everything, I was always just out in my Connie just doing PvE bounties or cargo hauling or bunkers, and as soon as you guys had a prize and got somebody, you guys just asked me to come over, and I just come over, unload it, board their ship. If there's a guy alive, kill
Super
them,
helpful.
take their stuff somewhere.
Yeah, doing the job
Super
that
helpful.
none of us wanted to specifically do. Let's be
So-
fair though. I'm
Or
sorry,
like a
not to cut you
stressful
off, River.
situation.
But there
Yeah,
was definitely a situation. I don't think you give yourself enough credit because I remember you holding down like freaking 3 F8s with a Connie by swapping shield facings the whole time until we showed up. So like to be
Yep.
real, like you were pretty good at what you were doing. Like that's the type of like that's like a PvP player who will do the stuff that most PvP players don't want to do, moving boxes and being helpful in that sense. That's different. I feel like.
yeah, like that's who you want. It's first off, number one, right? It's all
Yeah.
about personality. Number two, it's about comms, right? And then third is skill. I mean, especially in masterminds, we could see it where you could build anybody to be a beast, right? But like if you have a guy like that, right, he serves a purpose, right? Where he will be the guy that bring in a C2 to help, like with cargo and stuff like that. But then also he can serve a role, just like the Marine thing I was talking about, earlier, where like you're rifleman first, but then you're XYZ, right? Like you're a medic. You could be that guy that does that. But then like when push comes to shove and there's a fucking huge battle, and I'm not theory crafting like y'all were thinking 3 years in the future. I'm talking about like the here and now, even if they raise the server pop to 500, right? So like, you may need that guy to be the engineer, put out fires, repair components on a ship, right? Like what you like doing kind of falls into that like same category, so you'll need those guys to be successful. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because like even having like the divisions on Grim and like those high stress situations helped me out sometimes, because if my ship was about to be destroyed or something, like I wasn't there for too long, but I could look at the Discord real quick and be like, oh, this guy's on, hey, are you in your so-and-so ship? Like, yeah, hey, come over to me, I need your help to load this
Oh,
cargo. I
what,
ain't got
knowing what
space.
they were good at? Is that what you're specifically
Yeah,
saying?
versus like
I mean, if
saying
you're
like some because I've been in Bob Discords, I've done the mining Discord, I've done orgs for like all the things, and like not my jam, but being in a PvP org where I'm not like, I don't want to do PvP unless it's on like ground stuff, like
you
being
weren't
there
dead,
as a
you weren't like
support.
dead in the water, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
like
I would love
utility.
nothing more at the moment than to get my Starfarer out, loaded with like fighter component,
I
and
mean,
just
not
like
to,
hang outside the battlefield and repair your guys' ships.
I mean, not to
partway
get
through
too much
vitals
into
or something.
that, not to get too much into that specifically, but like with the current org, we have a solution for that. But without it specifically being a division. But it's definitely a solution for that. So I mean, that's a good point. You were able to basically, without even having played with, like, let's say a specific pilot, you were able to look at the division and say, oh, that's somebody who can help me in this situation. So I get what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Each area is going to have their own specialty, and like you're going to be able to contribute in the way you want to, regardless if you're good at PvP or not good at PvP. Like there's going to be places for people to do PvE, PvP, and like what I noticed for this Citizen Con was that CAG doesn't care about the PvPers right now. they care about making a game that has PvP, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, dude, I was worried about that panel. Like, I'm gonna be straight up. Like, when I saw like what is Star Citizen, like I remember like talking.
That definition could have changed like anything for
dude,
us. You know?
I was like a little nervous about like, what that panel was gonna be. I remember like even talking about it in the super secret Discord. Like, like, oh shit, like we're about, like, that gives me the most anxiety ever. Like, are we gonna be like a PV, like, is there gonna be PvE servers coming soon? Like,
Oh my goodness.
So
yeah,
that's but then they're like, oh no, it's a PvP, PvE, like solo person, like whatever. They just laid it out there like we thought it was gonna be an MMO. So
yeah.
what I don't like is the fact that I got a little like hesitant when they brought out like the mission things where like for new players, I like that, like, in 1.0 there's gonna be like, a mission set, like kind of prologue, and then like they talked about citizenship and like being like a civilian and then a citizen in like the UEE and all this other stuff. It kind of freaked me out a little bit because I'm like, I'm not really trying to PvE and do some prologue in the PU to like obtain
I like
a
a
certain
good
thing.
Yeah, like I like a good PvE game. But
Yeah,
I mean
that's
that's not
Squadron
why I
42 for me
play.
though.
But that's not why I play Star Citizen PU. I'm not totally against it, but at the same time, I feel you there, dude. I was thinking the
Just
same
like,
thing. I was like, what does that really mean? And like, how much effort do I have to be in to becoming a citizen, and how much of an advantage does that add? I guess it just depends, really.
Just be a citizen for Pyro. It'll be fun.
Rocco just asked why I'm wearing a hat because I'm bald.
I'm going to say that we're going to wrap it up there, if that's okay, Pumpkin, because we do have one more caller and we're going almost like 3 hours into the show or so. So,
yeah, thank you,
appreciate the
Pumpkin,
comment.
for jumping in.
Yeah,
No,
thank you so much, man. And last caller that we have is Techwork. Welcome, Techwork. How you doing?
Good. About yourself?
Pretty good. What was
did
your
you
question?
just come from a car shows too?
No,
I'm
just been lazy all day. So, probably first time listener, last time caller. All I really want to say is I've been kind of following Star Citizen a little bit, few years now. I got to count 2019, and it's been this kind of roller coaster ride, up and down and up and down.
Yeah.
I've never played Eve or anything like that, so I don't know how that game works, but I get the idea that everybody kind of wants SC to eventually be that. I guess my question is, do you think they got a shot? You know what I mean?
I wouldn't know any better. I don't know about you guys if you guys played Eve, but I didn't play Eve. So
I never played Eve.
If they're trying to make Eve, then I don't think they have the shot that it means like, okay, we've got 8,000 people all fighting each other in the same like instance section right here. But if it comes down to a couple hundred on a couple hundred, for an org base or whatever, I think they got a shot. I've seen other games pull it off with fairly complex structures. I mean, Star Citizen is arguably some of the most complex game mechanics there is. Like when it comes to how much shit is in the game, where it's like you've got your armor, you can get in the ship, you can pull out your FPS gun. We can see that because of there's so many bugs, right? You're throwing your gun, your guns won't recharge. There's all these different states, permission systems that they're building. What worried me most about if they have a shot or not about making something that's similar to Eve was, how much of the demo was them like, praising the technology that they're building, and rather than looking at the game that they want to eventually have. So that's my only concern really with it, is that, if they just look at what they're building as a tool to build other games, or if they're actually building Star Citizen. That's my only concern.
I don't think it's gonna be like Eve. I think Chris Roberts is like all about being like immersive, like as immersive as possible. And if you look at every single fucking panel from the last 3 Star Citizens, it's just everything is just being as immersive and cool as possible.
Hands
and
on.
it's not about fucking Eve and 6,000 player org battles. That's not what it's about. So like that's why I get fucking pissed when people start theory crafting talking about 6,000 player battles. Like it's not going to happen anytime soon. At least until I have like a kid that's 20 years old. Like it's just not going to happen.
I mean, I'll say that's not certainly not what I mean when I talk about like the game is being designed for large scale battles. I certainly don't mean like 8,000.
I also don't know. I've never played Eve, so I don't know if that's what happens in Eve. But
like my impression when I say large scale, I'm thinking like hundreds versus hundreds or something like that, because they got like these large ships they're creating specifically for war with each other, right? So like I see it being like that, but like large scale, I don't see it being large scale to the extent where, to the extent where like Eve is, and I don't even know if it's possible anyway, because it's a totally different like platform in the way that the game is built. So
I guess our answer is that, like, we understand that they're going to be taking the best from what worked in Eve to build an immersive universe that is dynamic and, influenced by the player. But we're not going to get a carbon copy of what Eve was, although people may wish it to happen, right? We don't think that I don't think that that's personally technologically possible, given the fine detail and scale.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that hardcore.
Yeah. Like it probably isn't.
Okay. That all sounds pretty reasonable. I'm just concerned because there's degrees of how much like granularity and particular things you can do in a game, because you have something like GTA Online, for instance, and it's kind of so gamified that it's not that immersive sim that Chris wants. And then you have your Eve, which is you're just this massive blob orgs, corpos and everything like that. And I've played games like Haven and Hearth, which is kind of like Worm Online, where everything's simulated to the little bit, and then it just kind of dies after a little while.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hopeful. It's one of those things. Knock on wood. Hopefully they can pull it off. But I'm glad everybody's thinking good thoughts about it.
I think
what background are you from, and like as far as like game loops in the game, and then like how'd you find this stream? I'm just curious.
Well, in terms of the game, basically I was the guy who would play the game for a couple weeks and kind of check things out, and then go play something else for 7 months and then check it out again, and then basically all I do is just get into fights in the PU now and get blown up. So hell yeah. All right, well,
that sounds like a lot of people,
guys.
That's a ton of people there at work. There's probably thousands of people that pop in during CitizenCon, take a look, fuck around for a little bit, check out the new patch, and then let it cook. We'll see, right? If it ever comes out, does your $45 or $150 investment pay off in the long run? We'll see. I think it's heading in the right direction, but at the same time, there's plenty of things to be concerned about, right?
Absolutely. This all sounds really good on paper, and it's just if they're going to be able to pull it off, and when they pull it off, is it going to be something that's like cool, or is it going to be like a Black Desert Online where it's all kind of a grind? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. I have faith in them as long as they can actually finish the vision. So
hell yeah.
Thanks, Tech.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I'm not going to keep you guys because I know you've been running for a while. So take it easy.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Bye.
Have a good night.
We're actually we're pulling a 12-hour stream here for charity.
You really
I got something actually.
So can we do some quick questions and we'll call it after that? Is that okay? Okay. There was one from ZJS. This is more for you guys because this is an org leadership question. Which of the announcements at SitCon do you see your direction of how you lead your respective orgs changing? Yes, no, and if so, how significantly? I'm going to highlight that one. I'll just repost it in chat so you can actually read that for yourself, just because it was a little bit of a mouthful.
Was it what functionality coming out as an org leader?
Which of the announcements at SitCon do you see your direction of how you lead? Jesus, I can't read that now. Thank you very much.
Which of the announcements at SitCon do you see your direction of how you lead your respective orgs changing? Yes, no, and if so, how significantly? That's kind of confusing.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be straight up with you. How I'm not gonna do it is like how AVS did it, and how like a lot of the other PvP orgs did it, is like, hey, we have a bunch of fucking spreadsheets. Pass this fucking test, and then you become a member. Like, no, I ain't gonna fucking do that because honestly, aces don't fucking matter anymore. Like, they do to a certain extent, but like the game's a
But they're
little
not the
bit.
end all be all.
Yeah, they're not the end all be all, and the game's a little bit more tied to group play and team play than just fucking solo skill. You know what I mean? Group play is the most important keyword.
Which I
there,
prefer.
You know?
Which I prefer anyway. I'm glad
absolutely.
it's like that.
Agreed.
Like, it's about community. It's not about one guy.
So the old fucking model of like, hey, just pass the test and you're in an org, and then like, you know, it's just that's not gonna fly anymore. You know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think there definitely is gonna be tests, and there will be tests. But it's gonna be tailored a little bit different to encompass exactly what you're looking for the maximum potential of being successful in a group fight.
Yeah.
That's what I see. I mean, and I'm a bias because I like group fighting.
Yep.
But that could also encompass like multi-crew and a ton of other shit too. So,
yeah,
so that's
for
how
me, basically, you know, what they revealed at SitCon was mainly the consequences for ship claims, insurance, and all that, and how you steal ships and can use them, along with the game loops of how fuel is going to be more costly and things. I see that as changing, you know, leading an organization or organizational policies, as the most important, because if the game doesn't have consequences or meaning for you to play, you're just creating that, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is just we literally battle almost nonstop because there are no consequences. There's no reason to fight. You can't find anyone at Ghost Hollow. It's not worth going there. So you got to create your own content. So when consequences and meaningful reasons to play the game, like grinding up a contract or getting resources to build a secondary ship that you can go and, you know, fight a group with, that's what's going to change the way my org plays the game. Not necessarily the alliances right now, but again, that's probably a close second.
Yeah. I've got a
appreciate the question. That's a good question.
Arcane said something Firebird main.
Yeah,
I don't know what that means.
Everyone's bringing Firebirds out because of the stealth gameplay.
They're going back and forth, guys. Bring it over to Sodium Nuggets. This isn't really the place for that. If you guys want to like get your beef, get it out somewhere else. So this entire enterprise seems to be supporting the economy. This is a question from Wux. How much outside PvP assistance do you expect, as PvP orgs don't pay attention to Bob orgs the same way they don't pay attention to PvPs? I think Wux may have already asked this. Just if you guys could confirm that, that'd be awesome.
So how much PvP assistance do we feel like we will accept if we're in a PvP org or running one?
Yeah.
It really depends on the org, right? Because it depends. If you there's plenty of groups out there that I know of that are like not necessarily a main PvP group that wants to be a force out there that brings, you know, their entire group together. Like they want to be in an alliance of groups. You know, they want to be a small subsect of like 10 people because they enjoy flying with their friends. They might not want to be the best PvPers out there, but they want to train. They want to like do well. You know, and not every PvP org doesn't pay attention to Bob orgs. And again, not every Bob org is like, you know, not useful. And the thing is, you know, there's plenty of PvP groups that have their eyes on those types of orgs because they are looking, like River even said, for potential use in the future. Build relationships. Hey, how can you help me? How can I help you? I want to log in and shoot shit. You have plenty of bases to defend. Why don't you call me in when you're getting attacked, and we'll see what happens. You know, like so.
Yeah, it's content. Like
yeah,
you
pretty
know?
much, yeah.
And honestly, like you could probably beat on someone to the point where it's like, hey, dude, do you want to like join me? Or like,
yeah, exactly.
And like that's what I plan on doing. You know,
pretty much, yeah. Okay. Next question. What if bases are more of a thing? This is from Harold Lipitsky. What if bases are more of a thing when you go set up a base, defend it as long as you can to extract resources, and then abandon it when you can't defend it anymore? Is that something that would be fun as a game loop for us? I'm going to post that as well so you guys can visually see that if you need it.
I think so. But, you know, It comes down to how long that resource is there, right? If you only need 10,000 SEU of titanium, and you build a base and you mine your 10,000 things of titanium, you can get the fuck out of there and just be like, all right, we're done here. Or if you put your base in the wrong place and River comes along and says, hey, guess what? This is mine now. You might be withdrawing and cutting your losses.
Right. Okay.
What do you think, River?
I mean, I agree with you. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be people.
That's a pretty good
abandoning
question.
bases.
Yeah, that's a good question. Like that could be a tactic, right? Set up a base just to extract as much resource as possible, and then just leave it. That
Because
might
those
be-
those
that might be a
resources
pretty
aren't going to be
effective way
like
to do it.
infinite forever.
Or you can
Yeah.
sell it to another group. Sell it to someone
Yeah,
else.
it's just-
They are. Yeah,
Dude,
that's a good point. I like that. That's a good question. I don't
For
know.
me, it's just all about like how the fuck can you min max, and I don't think we're gonna know until the system's out. That's it. So
Yeah,
I can't
otherwise it's theory
speculate
crafting.
anything because it's
Mhm.
it's all about min maxing. I hate to
Right.
fucking say it, but we're in video games. It's just how it is.
Okay. Next question. This is from Arcane Asylum. I know Rivergrit has called out some things, or called out saying that alliances are weak in one of the latest guest appearances here. Is
Yes.
this still the case? And
Yes.
what are your thoughts from the major two alliance leads that also in the call? Also in the call?
Hold on.
Alliances are
Take that
dumb.
one.
Well, you're saying it's weak in the sense where it's like it's like
weak.
weak to have an alliance, right?
Yeah,
okay.
you essentially are literally giving yourself, you're like alliances right now is like
Yeah,
You're putting yourself into like a position where you're
Yeah.
vulnerable.
So
Yeah,
like,
dude,
it's
it's
like,
reliable.
yeah.
It's like going into a fight with like an ACL tear. Like you're just
Yeah.
like you have a weak fucking link somewhere on your body, and someone's gonna fucking exploit it. That's the way it is. You know what I mean? And
I
it's
can
all
see
about
that.
friend groups because, like, to be honest with you, that's where it's all about like just relationships, like we said earlier. Who give a fucking alliance, right? As far as the game is currently, like where it's at right now, it's about friend groups, right? Who do you talk to, who you've
Yep.
tight with, and who's in the inn, and that's it, because those people will come fight for you. You know what I mean? And you'd be surprised,
Mhm.
Arcane, like, there may be some people that you thought would be in alliance with you previously, and they're not right now.
Yeah.
It's just like it's all about like, and then even like Virgil with AVS, like, you know what I mean? Like AVS and Virgil and SM like were tight back in the day, right? But then all of a sudden now they're not. Like they're fucking like he came on the podcast and he was like, "Yo, I'm going after AVS first." You know what I mean? But when bases come out, they might be fucking boys again. We don't fucking know.
Yeah, I've never been a huge fan of alliances myself, and
but alliances don't give a like. It doesn't fucking,
especially where it stands right now. Anyway, there's
it's a
no
numbers thing.
real point for it, because it's like, if anything, an alliance just may probably reduce the chance of you having fights you can get into, and it doesn't make sense. There's no loss anyway. In the future maybe, but I've never been a big fan of like creating these alliances myself. When it was Grim 42, like the way we looked at it, we've had a number of people approach us to try to create an alliance, and then we were
Always
always
declined
like,
it just
nah.
because it's nice to keep that like neutral standpoint, so you're not
Yeah.
getting dragged into someone else's like garbage. Right.
Yeah, you get one shitter in an alliance, and they'll ruin it for the whole entire group, and then they get put into a fucking war they don't want to be in, and then next thing you know,
it's not
it
even
becomes
that, but
self-destructive,
you get
like
put into a
sabotage
box
at that point. You know,
with-
you
Yeah.
sabotage your own org if you do
So
that.
I have a dissenting opinion. So I don't think alliances are weak. I do think that having to use an alliance as a crutch is a weakness, like you guys are stating.
Yes.
But the thing is who's really weak? The group that doesn't ally with anyone and just gets shit on, or the group that
I'm
has,
not saying that at all.
Yeah. So
'Cause
like
it's friendships, but like stated alliances, like we're fucking role playing, like
right
now
now
we're calling us the Neighborhood Watch, and this is our alliance because like if you fuck with us, we'll fuck.
Yeah.
The fuck, dude. This is Star Citizen. We're playing in 2024. There's no reason for an alliance right now.
Yeah. There's no
straight
consequences
Okay.
either. Yeah,
guys,
exactly.
Guys, it's as simple as this: the best ship is friendship, right? We'll move on. Next question. Next question is: what portion of what they showed at SitCon do you think needs to be implemented for there to be a larger player base increase. And how do you think CIG or the OG players are going to respond to the new crowds of people that will come in? I'm going to post that because it's a mouthful again.
Depending on I would say depending on the OG player,
person.
like
Person.
if it's okay, for example, we got this org that we're bringing together, right? We may take advantage of these newer players that are very interested in show promise in PvP, potentially. Not necessarily, but there may be mindsets like that, or there may be mindsets like, oh, I hate these new players because they don't know anything. I mean, that's a good question. I don't know. I think some orgs are going to try to take advantage of the new player base. Though.
I like the first part of this question where it says what portion of what they showed at SitCon will pretty much bring in more players. I think goddamn, I think if they had 2 systems, right? Like that's already pretty fucking sick. Like I tell I have a buddy at work that is like a semi gamer, and I tell him about Star Citizen, and he's just like fucking blown away, right? But like he doesn't have much time to game. I think like if you make it easier for a person to man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna be straight up. When they went through that 1.0 thing at the end of SitCon, and they were pretty much like, hey, 1.0, like, we're pretty much have a prologue for you that like teaches you the game. And then you could kind of branch off from there and kind of do your own thing if you want. Like, I think that's probably going to be the biggest, besides stability, that'll probably be the biggest saving factor. Because, dude, you log into Star Citizen as a new player, like I did, right? And like I had to watch so many hours of YouTube videos just to figure out what the fuck to do. I was watching like hours of subliminal videos to figure out what ship components to put on.
Yeah,
like,
I remember
you know
that.
what I mean? And like keybinds and like it's just like there's just like nobody telling you what to do. But if like they had like a legitimate like prologue kind of, I don't know what, because I'm not that much of a gamer, but like if they had some type of intro that would tell you kind of to and show you kind of the different game loops, right? I think that would help a ton, especially holding on to the core, holding on to a player base of new players.
I think that basically, what you said is totally factual. And in essence, you're basically saying it's how they're treated. How when they come into the game, are they treated by not only the other players, but the systems that's in the game. So if they're treated fairly and they understand how to play the game and they're treated well, the OG players will respond well because they're like welcomed in, and maybe they'll join some groups, some established groups. If they're treated poorly, oh, get shit on scrub, GG, get good, and no one teaches them the game, they might, leave, or they'll learn how to play the game and then, come after the groups that treated them poorly, So it
depends
really
on the
depends.
reception at that
Regardless
point.
of what happens, what they're building will bring in new players. And my personal opinion is that some of the best players haven't even played the game yet or haven't heard of Star Citizen.
Oh yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Here's a question from Lefty. I'll try to wrap this up fast. What shade of magenta will you paint your ships? It's a little off topic, but
magenta. So I don't even know what the fuck color that is because I'm from Philly. So
it's like neon purple.
Yeah. So no, we're not doing that. So
okay. Well, there's your answer.
We're probably gonna do like I personally I like red if you want to get into it. So I'm gonna paint my ship fucking some sort of red, probably a maroon.
Okay, here's a last question by Bearded Blink. This might be YMMV, but how sanguine are you on CIG's ability to cater or to deliver on this new tech? Given the failures of cargo elevators during a Cargo Empire update and never removed wreckage in hangar doors after persistence is added, just to cite 2 recent examples of an endless list.
I think
your mileage may vary. That's what he meant.
I feel like though I feel like what they're doing is they're looking at like problems that you have in a game that's still like adding all kinds of features. They only put so much work into stability. I feel like the baseline of stability is very low right now because it's about trying to get all of these different features into the game first. And so, but I think once the focus becomes the stability, I think it's different. So I actually have faith that once that becomes a focus, things are gonna look a lot different. Personally,
I think the reason that they don't give a fuck about that shit right now. This is a hot take.
The PU is the best test bed.
Yeah, the reason they haven't wiped
Pretty
is
much.
because they're I think they're trying to figure out persistence and stuff like that, right? Like
I can see that.
yeah, so like that's why it's kind of shitty right now, and we're literally just being a test bed for them.
Yep. All the
pretty
failed
much.
launches and stuff that they have, it's not because, my personal opinion is not because they've failed to deliver the experience that they've intended to do, is that they've put these things out a little bit before it's been finalized because they needed the player base that plays the PU to tweak the final situation. Look at salvaging when it came out. Now look at it now, right? Look at the refining for the vulture and stuff like that, where you're like, your RMC bags are larger. It was total trash when it first came out, and now it's a bit better. I mean, look at all the other systems, the bounty hunting stuff, the comm relay, all that's half buggy, and they just launch it because they're trying to test and refine the system. It's unfortunate. I don't have a lack of faith of what CIG can do because of the buggy launches, because I know at heart they're putting it out to the populace to basically see where it fails, and that's what I expect.
Okay, that's a good answer, by the way. I have one
I'm
more
pretty
question,
sure
which is
Thunder Lake gives the best answers. No, the most descriptive.
This is what I'm talking about. He's got really good insight.
Dude,
So
Thunder
I do
Lake, you are
appreciate
so
your time.
like adequate.
Stop.
Like, yeah.
He's
No, we're
blushing.
Your answers
We
are
can
so
see him
fucking
blushing.
good.
I can't even see him.
He's like,
I can't talk the way
make me
you do.
blush.
I'm jealous.
Really well spoken. Here's the question from Reaper Unit, really off topic. When
love that
will
guy.
you review the latest Roy's Guide?
You mean for a Grievous?
I've already watched it.
I watched it. I watched it today.
Apparently, I'm Griefernet in the latest video.
Clip that.
Are you?
Yeah.
It was funny because
Apparently
it
I
just
am.
threw it in there. All of a sudden, it was River saying, "You're a Bob." That's great.
And it said Rivernet of Griefernet, like in this corner. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess I'm Griefernet.
I mean, yeah. I'll just post that there if you guys want to check it out for yourselves. We'll just mark that one as complete. With that being said, guys, I think we're going to wrap up the show. Thanks for all your time tonight, guys. Thunder Lake, Dockhound, and
Thanks,
man. It was really good. Like Spur, thanks for your time, guys. We are
thank you
going to
so
send
much.
you guys
Thanks for having us on.
to someone else. We're going to send you guys in a raid.
Oh.
Let me collect my thoughts.
Oh,
So if you guys
crazy
have-
shout out to Shankers, dude.
Yeah,
Shanker's
200
man, dude.
Holy shit,
gifted
dude.
subs.
Honestly,
Like,
yeah, Shankers literally is like
Jesus,
bankrolling
man.
everyone, dude. Great
yeah,
fun.
I
Thanks for the
really
support,
man.
appreciate that, man.
He supports the BP community. That's it.
Mhm.
He's
Agreed.
hardcore.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
so
all our
just-
callers coming in too. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
thank you
thank
very
you.
much for like the engaging conversations and just a lot of the discussion. It was very, very insightful tonight, guys. And again, River, thanks for joining us as a special guest tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
He's very
Good night,
special.
gentlemen. Yeah, he
And
is.
if you guys haven't already
Take it
checked
easy.
out, I know that he's
Special ed.
what's your new org called, by the way? Can you tell me? I've never heard of it.
Yeah, it's Med Runners.
Med Runners?
I
Okay,
joined
388.
Med Runners. Yeah, that's. I'm just kidding. No, 388. That's it.
All right. And then just a reminder that tonight's episode will be on YouTube tomorrow. So please subscribe, check it out. And if you guys have any recommendations for someone to go raid, type in chat, and we will catch you guys next time. Cheers. And,
Have a good
take
night.
care.
Good. I gotta piss so bad.
Yeah.